What is shaking, everybody? We are back in the backyard. We've shifted to the other side of the backyard. As you've noticed, when I have a guest, we come to this side. When I'm doing the show by myself, we go to the other side. We got the bunny rolling around. We got Lou rolling around. We got the cats. So we are ready to go. But more importantly, I have a good friend of mine on the show today, 6-time Gold Glover, member of the Giants Wall of Fame, also a member of the 2002 National League pennant-winning Giants, lost in the World Series that year to the Los Angeles, California Angels of Anaheim, whatever the fuck they're called nowadays. I have no idea. They change their name every 4 or 5 days. JT Snow. JT, what's up, brother?
Not much.
Good to see you.
It's good to be
here. Thanks for coming on.
It's good
Appreciate
to be here.
it. Let's crack open our beer.
Okay.
So for you, I got a monkish. It's a lager. You know, you like your lagers.
I like lager.
And
yeah.
I got a Heartbreak's Edge from Wondrous. This is a West Coast IPA. So
okay, I don't
know if they're all gonna fit in these mason jars.
I got the Hellish.
Yeah, you got the Hellish. I like the idea of mason jars because I like the idea of drinking moonshine.
Okay.
I don't think I'd actually like moonshine, but the idea. I just love the name of moonshine, like apple pie. It sounds like, oh, that's got to be good, right? It's like apple pie, and then you drink it, and your fucking larynx is burned out. It's like just you got a hole. You got like one of those holes in your throat, you know, that you see in the commercials with people that smoke too much.
Yep.
And she's like, yeah, I used to smoke 4 packs a day, maybe more. And then I love at the end of the commercial, she like takes a drag out of the hole. It's like, oh, bro, you haven't learned yet? What are you doing?
I think when I was rolling in the minor leagues on bus rides through the Carolina League, we might have had some moonshine.
Did you?
Guys would sneak stuff on the bus.
Oh, how was it as bad as
we went through Virginia, Carolinas, Lynchburg, Virginia, Winston-Salem, Greensboro.
So you went through some haulers.
We went through some haulers. It's amazing what guys bring on the bus.
So you had moonshine. How was it? Was it just awful?
It's gasoline.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it burns the throat. But you know what? You got to have something to put you to sleep on those bus rides through the night. So
that'll put you to sleep.
Yeah, 12-hour bus rides in the minor leagues through the night.
Dude, that's like Tyson. Hey, Ogden, before we get started too far in the story, can you turn that rug over behind you real quick so I don't have to get like all that stuff out of Bunny's intestines? Because she seems to be tearing the rug apart right now. And I've read where like critters will eat like stringy stuff, and then all of a sudden it gets stuck in their intestines. And
throw the rug on the
just go ahead and turn it over so she can't
throw
get
it on
to
the
that
trash
part.
Can, like she's gonna go back.
She's going back.
She's addicted.
She's like, oh yeah. She's
addicted.
You're not gonna stop me. Oh yeah, she's a rascal. So how was I've always read stories or read books, you know, about minor league baseball. It's so much different, right? Than basketball. Basketball, either you go to the NBA or you go overseas.
Right.
Football, you go to Canada or you just don't play.
Right.
That's it. Baseball, there's a whole process of like, you know, going through the minor leagues, riding the buses, staying in the shitty hotels, all that. What was that like for you? I mean, coming from, you know, Arizona, before that La Salle, but what were the minor leagues like?
When you got there, when you got drafted, you were just happy to be a part of an organization, and you kind of knew from other people that you played with, maybe in college or came back to college. And baseball's a different animal because there's so many levels to an organization, and you need players, right? You need pitching, you need position players. And then when you get there, you're so excited. You're so excited to play. Like, hey, I got drafted by the Yankees at a U of A.
Yep.
5th round. Signed. Next day I was on my way to Oneonta, New York, upstate New York, A-ball. And you're riding buses and you're meeting guys from all over the country. Guys playing the SEC, guys playing the ACC, guys that signed out of high school. But you have the dream, the big picture of getting to the big leagues, because we all played at an early age, right? I played baseball my first year. I was 6 years old. I retired at 38. I played 32 years of baseball every year, never miss a year. You get on the buses. I always say my favorite baseball movie all time is Bull Durham.
Yep.
Very realistic. Riding the buses. Guys got a guitar, playing music. You always have the top prospect, right? The the guy on the bus that's going to be maybe get to the big leagues before you. But it's a great time in life. It builds character. You learn a lot. You learn a lot about your coaches, your teammates. You learn a lot about yourself. You roll into a town at 2 a.m., check into the, really didn't stay in Motel 6s, but more like Holiday Inn Expresses.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you play the next day. And like, baseball's hard. It's all on you. You got to go out and produce and play, but it builds character. I wouldn't trade anything. And I had a chance to go through rookie ball, then single A, double A, triple A start flying, but there's 6 a.m. flights.
Yeah.
You fly that day to where you're going, and then you play that night. So,
okay.
It's looking back, like I wouldn't trade it for anything.
How tough is, because I mean, baseball is more so than the other sports an individual sport.
Yeah.
How tough is it though? But you still want to come together and win, especially when you're at the big league level. How tough is that at the minor league level where, you still want to beat the other team you're playing, but ultimately you're kind of out for yourself because you're trying to do as good as you can so you can move up the ladder. How do those two kind of battle against each other in the minor leagues? Like, we want to win, but hey, if we lose, I still want to do well because I want to move up.
Right. You learn that early because you learn what guys are out for themselves, which guys are team guys. And I think, like, coming from a good college program that I did, you kind of learned, inside you're excited when you have a good game and maybe you lose. On the outside, you have a bad game and you win. You still got to be excited, but you start learning that. And then I've always said that baseball it kind of weeds people out. I mean, you've been through it, you know, at that level, you start seeing the guys that are in it for themselves. You see the guys they're good team guys. And a lot of it is your coaches and your managers telling you, you got a shot. Don't worry about this guy. Because I think when you really get to the double A level, you see guys getting called up.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a second, I'm a better player than that guy. But it takes the manager, the coach to say, be patient. They're calling him up because he's fast. He's a fourth outfielder.
Yeah.
Maybe he can be a backup infielder. Like, you're an everyday player. So I was real lucky to be drafted by the Yankees, and their philosophy when I was drafted, if you were a prospect, we're going to leave you at a level each year, let you play, get 400 or 500 bats. The minor league season is a month less, and then if you're good, we'll bump you up the next year. And then the next year, it wasn't a lot of, if you were a prospect, there wasn't a lot of, you get hot, we're going to send you up, you get cold, we're going to send you down. Cause that starts messing with your mind. So I was lucky, and I owe it all to, the U of A, where I came from, because I learned a lot, learned how to play the game the right way and take the good with the bad and just go with the program.
Did you know Sabian when he was with the Yankees?
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
What were your interactions like with him?
So Brian Sabian was the director. Him and Brian Cashman were the directors of the minor leagues.
Okay.
So when I was first drafted and I went to instructional league, instructional league is where they invite top prospects from A ball, rookie ball. You go down in the fall, in the winter, and you play a little more baseball. So they were there. They ran the minor leagues. They handed us our meal money every week. I think we got $50-something for the week.
For the week.
So it was like $7-8 a day. So Sabian was there with Brian Cashman. Now Brian Cashman's running the Yankees and Sabes. So I knew Sabes. So he was there, and then ended up trading me away to the Angels, but they ended up trading me back to the Giants. So yeah, I'm very, and I love him. He's old school. I was very lucky to be drafted by the Yankees because it was an organization that was no BS. We're going to tell you like it is. That's how I grew up, my father and all that. And so I was in good hands with them.
How many games did you, because you got called up with the Yankees, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. What was that like? Yankee Stadium. Just like, I mean, you look around. I went to old Yankee Stadium when I was doing some basketball stuff. I was there by myself for a weekend. In fact, we were there the whole week, and they were playing the Red Sox. And I'm like, I got to get over to Yankee Stadium and just see this game.
Yeah.
And just staring at it going, God, Ruth, Gehrig, man. I mean, just all the memories. Like, it happened on this field. I had the same feeling when I played at the Boston Garden, like Russell and Cousy and on the banners and everything. You're just like, God, all that happened here. And I felt the same way at the old Yankee Stadium, like on this grass. This is. How did you feel as a player? Like I'm walking into a place where like, who's walked down this tunnel to go up and go onto the field? Amazing.
I still remember because I played AAA in Columbus, Ohio, and then we had a great year. We won the International League, the Columbus Clippers. We were 101-51. We finished 50 games over 500, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
And so then the organization told us, we're going to keep you guys together to try and win the championship and the playoffs, which they did. And then afterwards, they called, I think, 6 or 7 guys up. And I remember going into the manager's office after the championship game. He's like, you guys are going up tomorrow. And I got called up with guys like Bernie Williams and Gerald Williams and Brad Osmus. These guys are all big league guys. And so we had like a 6 a.m. flight. So I went to Kansas City because the Yankees were on the road. And we flew in, we landed, we took a cab to the airport. After the game, I remember just calling home and telling my parents, like, I'm going to the big leagues tomorrow. And it's pretty emotional.
Yeah.
So I get to the hotel, sleep, go down, grab some breakfast, lunch in the morning. And so then this is a funny story. I'm in the hotel restaurant in Kansas City, and there's a guy that pitches for the Royals. Dennis Rasmussen was his name. He sees me and he goes, "Hey kid, like, do you want to ride to the ballpark?" And I know he plays for the Royals. And I'm like, I think I'm getting set up. I think like I can't ride with a guy my first day in the big leagues. Yeah. And I told him that. I'm like, I think someone's pranking me. Or he goes, no, it's all good. So I ended up jumping in a car with him, going to the stadium. Nothing happened. Walked in, and then when you see your jersey in your locker and your nameplate, sure is the same for you when you get there. It's probably the most satisfying day in your career and then of course all the media for the Yankees comes over, and Don Mattingly was the first baseman for the Yankees at the time. That's and right. The first question I got from the media was, do you think you can take Mattingly's job? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just happy to be here. I was 24 years old. Just happy to be there. And then
what year was this?
1992.
Okay.
Buck Showalter's our manager. He called us all in. He goes, you guys are all going to sit tonight and I know you got in late. Enjoy the game. So we just sat in the dugout, and I was in awe the whole game in a Royal Stadium. I think it was Kauffman Stadium. The old waterfalls out there.
Waterfall.
AstroTurf Field. And we sat there and just watched the game, and like I was in awe. And I remember calling home and talking to my dad. I'm like, I'm so nervous. I don't know if I can do it. He's like, you'll be okay. Like, don't worry about the names on the back of the jersey. And then I got to start the day after that. So yeah, that was like the coolest thing, is walking into the clubhouse and seeing your name plaque up and your jersey hanging. And I'd always wore number 6. So I was 6 in AAA. So when I got to the big leagues, the clubhouse manager gave me number 60 because the Yankees have so many retired numbers. And I think 6 was,
God, I can't
somebody
remember
had
who
6.
Was.
I don't know who it was, but he gave me 60, which was cool. And so I still have that jersey in my house, in my office. Oh yeah, I got, and there. It's funny. Do
you have the grays or the pinstripe?
I had the pinstripe.
60?
And so this is a funny story. There's a brown stain on the back of the jersey, and it was one of the veteran guys had some chew in his mouth, and he spit chew on the back of my jersey, and it's still on there. Because he's like, hey, Rook, welcome to the big leagues. And someone spit chew on the back of my jersey. And I have it in my office, and there's still that brown stain on the jersey. The good old days.
Who was it?
I don't remember, because I was walking down the dugout, and I didn't even feel it. It was my first.
You're amped. You're like,
it was my first game. So I got called up, and we were in Kansas City for 3 days, and we went back to Yankee Stadium for a homestand. And then I remember getting to Yankee Stadium and just walking in. They put us over in New Jersey. We all took a bus over.
That was George Brett was still on that Royal team, wasn't he?
He might have been.
I think he was. I think George Brett was still there.
But it was going into Yankee Stadium was intimidating. I remember walking down, like you said, like the smells, and you walk out and like, oh my God, I'm here.
Well, so you get to go to Yankee Stadium because in Kansas City you're wearing the grays,
right?
So to put on the pinstripes for the first time, that had to be like, I mean, it's one of the most iconic franchises in the world.
Yeah.
to put on those pinstripes.
And we had the pinstripes in the minor leagues. We always had the pinstripe,
Uh-huh.
the Yankee organization. So, but putting on and I always liked it because the Yankees, no name on the back of the jersey,
Yeah.
just the number, the pinstripes. And I don't think I played that first game. We just sat in the dugout and I was in awe. And I remember just the Yankee fans, the New York fans, they knew everything about me.
Yep.
They knew my birthday. They knew who my dad was. They knew where I lived. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then that night we were playing the Detroit Tigers, and the Tigers had like Cecil Fielder and all these guys. And there were fights in the stands at New York in the Yankee Stadium, and guys are punching each other. And I'm like, looking, I'm like, wow, this is the big leagues. Like this, this is pretty good.
So you go from there, and you get traded to the Angels.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that? Because one, you're leaving the Yankees, a team that drafted you, but you're going back home, a team that I'm sure you watched growing up. I don't know if you're an Angel fan growing up. I was a Dodger fan until I was probably about 15, and then I went over to the Angels, and I haven't looked back.
Same.
What was that like for you, going back home and getting a chance to play for a team that you grew up watching?
Yeah, so I was a Dodger fan
Yep.
growing up because we're the same time frame, and the Dodgers were always better, right? They had I could still name the Dodgers, Garvey and Lopes and Billy Russell, Steve Yeager,
Yep.
Dusty was in left,
Yep, Dusty
Billy
was in
North
left.
in center,
Yep.
Reggie Smith,
Yep.
Rick Russell, Jerry Royce.
Yep.
But then growing up in
Forget Bert Hooten and the knuckle
yeah,
curve.
that's it. Growing up in Seal Beach, then it was closer to go to the Angels games.
Mhm.
1979, the Yes We Can team, because
Yep.
I was a huge
Yes, we
Rod
can.
Carew fan.
I love Rod Carew.
And my favorite was Bobby Grich, because Bobby Grich was a Long Beach guy, second baseman, number 4.
Yep, that's right.
And my dad would take me to games and go, watch this guy, Bobby Grich. Plays hard,
Yep.
uniform dirty, taking guys out at second base. So I gravitated towards the Angels as we got older, because
Yep.
Seal Beach and Los Alamos, we were 15 minutes
Yeah.
from the ballpark. So yeah, getting traded from the Yankees when I was in AAA, I had my best year in the minor leagues. Won a batting title, was MVP of the league in the International League. We played on turf in Columbus, and I'm not a fast guy. I don't get many infield hits, but the ball's like shooting through. I won a batting title with a 313 average. That's how
really?
Yeah, that's how tough the league is.
Wow.
It's one of my favorite trophies in my house. It's like International League batting champ, and people really can't believe, like, oh, you won a batting title? I'm like, I did. Like, but so this is a funny story. The Yankees wanted me. So when you have a good year, you kind of put the pressure on the organization. Here we got this top prospect. They wanted me to go to the outfield in winter ball, play like in Venezuela or Dominican. And we were in Boston when I got called up, and Buck Showalter and Gene Michael, the GM at the time, called me into the office, and they said, we want to send you to winter ball, play the outfield. And I said, okay. And I was 24 years old. I said, okay. They're like, let us know tomorrow. So I didn't sleep that whole night in the hotel. I called my dad. I called my agent. And they're like, no, BS. You're not going to be an outfielder. You're going to win Gold Gloves in the major leagues.
Yeah.
So I go back to the stadium the next day in Boston. This is when 92, and I was called up. And right when I walked in the clubhouse, they grabbed me and go in the manager's office. And they're like, do you have time to think about it? What do you think? You going? I was like, I'm not going. I go, and I was like, I was a little punky. I was like, and then I don't know where this came out, but I'm like, I'm going to win Gold Gloves in the big leagues at first base. And Gene Michael gave it to me. He like up and down some 4-letter words, and we're trying to do this for you. And then they actually kicked me out of the office.
Wow.
Get out of here. And then I got traded that offseason to the Angels. And I'm like, and then I remember calling my dad and my agent. I'm like, I think I just screwed up. They're like, no, you did the right thing. And then they traded me to the Angels, whatever. And I went there and spent 4 years there. It was hard.
Tim Salmon?
Yep. Salmon.
Erstad
was behind me, but Salmon and Damian Easley, Jim Edmonds came up.
Jim Edmonds.
So I went to the Angels, but it was hard because you know how this is. I was away at Arizona for 3 years.
Yep.
I was in the minor leagues for 4 years. So 7 years I'm basically gone. Then I come back home, and now it's like oh, here you are. And all my buddies from high school, everybody called me back in the day. We didn't have cell phones. We had the answering machine.
Yep.
Everybody wants tickets. And I had to say no to people. And then people were like, oh, you've changed. You're different. You're in the big leagues now. I'm like, no, I'm not different, but this is not beer league softball. This is like my career. I'm trying to like establish, and I'm not kidding you, Tom. I would get home at night. I'd go 0 for 4 with a couple strikeouts, and I'd have 10 messages on my answering machine. Hey, your front shoulder's pulling out. You're pulling off the ball. You're dipping your shoulder. And I remember at the time, like, oh my God, this is hard. Like being back home.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, and then 95, we had a great year, and I had my best year at 24 homers, drove in 102 runs, won my first Gold Glove. The next year we had a down year. Disney took over, and they weren't happy. And then Sabian, who was with the Yankees, now got the job with the Giants in 97, and he traded for me back to San Francisco.
Alan Embry, if I remember correctly. Wasn't that who he traded you for?
I got traded for Alan Watson.
Oh, Watson.
And Fausto Macy.
I forgot
two pitchers.
Macy. I remember Watson.
Yeah.
That's right. Embry was later.
So
Embry was like early 2000s.
Sabian traded Matt Williams that year for Jeff Kent, and he made some big moves. And he got me, and he got Jeff Kent, and then
Jose Vizcaino.
Yeah.
And then the right-handed reliever Tavares, I believe.
Yep, Julian Tavares. Yep. We got Daryl Hamilton. Hambone.
Yep.
And that's the famous saying when Sabian was like, he called the fans here the lunatic fringe. Yeah.
Led by Ralph Barbieri.
That's it. Yeah. Lunatic fringe.
We had to have a meeting. Like he came over and we had like a meeting in one of Cambieri's boardrooms. And I remember it was Ralph and myself. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I didn't say anything. I'm just like sitting there listening to Ralph and Sabian go at it. Tony Salvador was there. I think Bob Agnew was there. And I remember at one point Sabian like just slammed the table. Like, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm not an idiot, Ralph.
Right.
Because Ralph was just killing him for the trade, basically. Right. You give up Matt Williams and to be fair, I think they thought the trade like this. I think they thought Tavares was like the catch, and it ended up being Jeff Kent was the catch.
Right.
I still remember an interview we did. We had all three of them come in after the trade, and Ralph was talking to Jeff Kent, and he was sitting right to the right of Ralph, and Ralph goes, "Some people have described your glove as a frying pan." I'm just like, really? I go, that's what you're going to do?
Yeah.
I go, one, you didn't even say you said it. You did this some people, the Roy Firestone, some people. Like, you want to get it out there without you actually saying it.
Right.
I go, what? I go, what do you expect him to say? And that's before we knew Jeff Kent was like the ultimate red ass.
Right.
So it ended up being kind of a running joke. But yeah, I mean, people thought that Matt Williams was like, Matt Williams basically, right? You make that trade and then, Ralph kind of flamed the fans as well. It was but ultimately it
was interesting because the Giants were going to move. If they remember, they were going to move to
Tampa.
They were going to move to Tampa. And so the ownership group, Peter McGowan, Larry, all those guys put their foot down. I don't know if Bob Lawyer was there, and Sabian came in and like just took control and was like, this is what we're doing. We're going to overhaul the team. Show up to spring training that year. We got like 6 new guys in the lineup, and Dusty was the manager, and it was bizarre, but it ended up working out. We won the National League West that year.
Yeah. What made Dusty such a good manager?
Just ability to communicate. I love a manager that says, "Hey, you got the day off tomorrow," or there's a lot of play. Like Dusty was a high level player in the big leagues. And there's a lot of managers that are high-level players that don't work out. There's a lot of managers that are great that weren't great players because they had to sit and watch a lot. But I think Dusty knew an everyday player what you're going through, the ups and downs, just communication, just call you in, just talk, and bring up stuff. I'm sure you went through this in your career, like bring up stuff that you didn't really see or recognize, and he would bring it to your attention. You're like, oh, yeah, like, this is how they're pitching it. This is what they're doing to you. This is the book on you. And just mainly having fun, just playing baseball. And so that year in 97, we all came in and we're kind of hanging around. And then I remember it was like in August, and then we come in Candlestick. We had the old whiteboard. Believe it or not, they used to have a whiteboard with like batting practice, stretch time, batting practice. And we come in one day and there's a quote. It says, "Why not us?" And so everybody read that and we're like, yeah, why not us? Like, let's play. And then we were just kind of having fun playing ball. And then Brian Johnson hits that big home run against the Dodgers.
Yep.
We get to the West and yeah, it was good. And it kind of kicked it off. I think it kind of kicked off the whole Giants resurgence.
How did you feel? I mean, you grew up in LA again. Me and you were both Dodger fans. Toby became Angel fans. How did you feel about the Dodger rivalry? Because I always feel like fans get into it more than players do. Like, you want to beat them, but it's not like fucking Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're supposed to hate him when the time we're come out of the womb and we're in the minor leagues and we hate the Giants. Like, Tommy was the best. He was like, he could have cut the best wrestling promos because he really got people to buy into it. And he might have believed some of it. But I always thought players were like, yeah, we want to beat the Dodgers, but we want to beat everybody else in our division too. It's not as big a deal as the fans make it.
Yeah, you're totally spot on. I don't think the players cared that much because, like, when you play against other guys, and you did in the NBA, that you might be going up against a guy like, that guy's a good dude, but I'm going to play him hard. I'm gonna try and beat him. But in the end, you're like, it's more about the fans, and I get it. And like you said, growing up in Southern California, I didn't know much about the Giants. I knew the Dodgers always beat the Giants, and the Giants weren't that big of a deal.
Exactly.
Growing up, like, oh, we're going to go up there and take care. But then when you get up here and you see, I think it's really important the fans up here to beat the Dodgers, because I think the San Francisco fans feel kind of second fiddle to LA because LA's got the glitz and all the stuff. So yeah, the players, like, we didn't care.
Kind of like Oakland felt to San Francisco.
Totally.
Same thing. And
like in Candlestick, the clubhouse was down the right field line, so they'd all have to come out, and Tommy would come out and get the fans going.
Exactly.
And they're trying to get the mojo going. But we knew the guys on the other team, and it's like 6 degrees of separation, right? You play against all these guys, different teams. You respect them. You just play them hard. And in the end, it's all about the fans. And we want to try and win for ourselves, but also make the fans feel happy.
Yeah.
And
did you ever have any good interactions with Tommy Lasorda?
I did. The first year I was with the Giants, we're taking batting practice in LA, and the home team always hits first and then we hit second. So he was on the field and coming off, and I went over to him and I introduced myself, and he looked, he's like, I know who you are. He goes, and I know who your dad was, and I liked your dad as a football player. And so we kind of cut through that right away. And then every time I'd see him, it was like, hey, what's up, Tommy? He's like, what's up, Mr. Snow? I'm like, no, Mr. Snow's my dad. I'm JT. So, but he was a great ambassador for the game. Like,
he was.
We had characters back then. Where now everything in today is so protected. There was good characters back then that, they could say stuff and do stuff that wasn't going to get him in trouble.
Yeah. What do you remember about that run in 2002 from the, kind of start of the season on through, and we'll get to the playoffs and World Series and all that. But was there a point during the season you felt like this could be a special team, or was it something that just evolved throughout the course of the season?
So like in baseball, it kind of evolves because it's a long season, and then you want to hang around till like August or September, and then and we won the wild card that year, but we knew we had some veteran guys and we knew we could hit if we just got the pitching. And then it just kind of evolved late in the season. We got hot, but it was always because we made the playoffs in 90 when I was there, 97, 2000.
Yep.
98, we lost a 1-game playoff in Chicago. We're in Colorado, and if we win that game, we're in. Nafi Perez hit a home run off Rob Nin on the slide.
Perez.
So the funny thing about that game was we were on defense and someone came down in the dugout. It might've been Ron Wotus or one of our bench coaches, like, the Dodgers, whoever, or the Cubs or someone, they lost. So all we gotta do is win. Yep. We're out there. And like, I swear to God, the next pitch and Rob Nin, my old high school teammate, Los Al, grew up in Los Al, Nafi Perez of all people, home run in Colorado. We lose the game. We got to fly to Chicago. We lose that playoff game. So 97, 98, 99, we were in it till the end. 2000, we lost to the Mets.
Yep. I
Um,
still don't know how you lost that game.
yeah, I don't know. I hit kind of a pinch hit home run that tied the game, but
No, I'm talking about that. I know that one.
yeah,
But I should say I don't know how you guys lost the series. But I
yeah.
remember the who was it pitching for the Mets? Bobby Jones.
Bobby Jones versus Mark Gardner.
Unbelievable.
2 Fresno State guys.
It was like unbelievable that because Bobby Jones was, I mean, come on, he was just okay that year.
Yeah.
And he just had it that game, had it. And I know the one that Ralph never let go of. And I'm like, bro, you gotta let this go. It's like a decade later.
Yeah.
Was when the bases were loaded and he thought he was going to pinch hit for Gardner, and he didn't pinch hit for Gardner.
Right.
And Gardner ended up getting out. And I think the thinking was, and I think Dusty went on to say, like, look, I thought we were going to score some runs. You know, we kind of had him on the ropes and we just didn't score the runs. But yeah, Ralph never let that one go. He goes, you got to pinch hit. I'm like, Ralph, 5 years ago, let it go.
Yeah. And Gardy was dealing. So
yeah, Gardy was
2 Fresno State guys. And we flew all night back to New York, had to play that game. And we lost some heartbreakers. And then back to the 0-2, we got by the Braves in the first round.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I think we were 2-2, and we fly all night. We get back into Atlanta at like 6 a.m., check in the hotel, sleep all day. We win that night. And we're finally like, oh, we finally broke through. That was a game. Somebody hit me a ground ball. It was first and second with 1 out. We were up by a run, I think. Hits me a ball to my left. I catch it, step on the bag, and I throw to second. And Aurelia's at short. I'm like, tag him, because he couldn't see me.
Yeah.
He tagged him. We win that game, and then we go on to beat the Cardinals, and then we go to the Angels in the World Series. So, and I have to say, we didn't win the World Series, but playing in the World Series is really unbelievable because it's the last 2 teams playing. The out of town scoreboards have no games on them.
Yeah.
There's no, and it was, and if people go back and look at that series, it was a pretty amazing World Series.
That was definitely a fun World Series to watch. Before I get to that, I want to ask you about the Braves series. And even before that, facing Greg Maddux.
Yeah.
I mean, he was right, left-handed hitter, right hip, boom, right hip, boom. It was unbelievable the way that thing moved.
Yeah.
What was it like facing a guy that could just put it where he wanted to and kind of, I mean, he thought the game, he pitched. I'm just wondering from your perspective, when you're facing Greg Maddux, what is that like? What are you looking for? How do you try to attack him?
He was one of the hardest pitchers to face because his fastball went 2 different ways, right? He's got a straight fastball,
yep,
and then he can cut it, and then he can sink it. So anytime you're a pitcher and you can make your fastball do 3 things. And I got a chance to meet him at a golf tournament a few years ago, and we sat and talked, and he said to me something that's interesting. And the way he pitched was, I would read your swings. Like if I threw you inside and you pulled it, I know you're looking in there. Maybe you're looking in there again. Maybe you're looking away. So I might, if I'm going to go back in there, I'm going to throw it way in off the plate because I might get a swing and I'm going to jam the crap out of you, or I might go away and run it off the plate. So he was all about the movement and changing speeds. And he's really a guy you didn't really have a plan on. You just go and look for the ball. Like look for the ball and try and attack it. Sit one side of the plate. Like I'm looking in, if it's in, I'm going to, because he could add and subtract and move it. But he was a mate. Like in today's game, he probably would not even get signed or get scouted because he threw 88, 89, 91. But he was amazing and good dude that just would read how you're swinging off him. And he knew, like, oh, like I said earlier, you pull me foul. I could go back in there, but I'm going to go farther in, or I could go. The whole thing with pitching is expanding the plate and making the hitter expand his zone and try and get swings out of him.
Did you have any success against any of those guys? Glavine, Smoltz, Avery? They just had guys that they just kept coming, man. They just kept rotating.
They kept coming, and
then of course you got Leo Mazzoni.
That's it. smoking a heater.
Smoking a heater, rocking back and forth.
The Braves, the one thing I think about the Braves when we played them was their defensive positioning was they played because their pitchers could throw the ball where they wanted. So the defense was set to where they were going to throw it. And Andrew Jones was in center field. So a guy would throw you away and you would lace it into left center and you look up and Andrew Jones is right there. But it all goes back to pitchers being able to throw the ball where they have to.
Yeah.
They're not aiming away and missing way in, and then a guy pulls it and the defense is shifted.
Yeah.
And then it's a double. So they were they were impressive. Maddox was the toughest. Smoltz was tough because he used to throw lefties a slider, and not many right-handers throw a lefty a slider because it's running into your barrel. But he would throw you a slider, and then he had the split and the change up, and so the Braves were they were tough.
They were super tough. All right, back to 02, the World Series. I want to get to some other questions in the World Series, but was Dusty going back out to hand Russ Ortiz the ball a big deal? Because I love when the Angels go, that fired us up. I'm like, what's the World Series? Shouldn't you be fired up enough already? Like it shouldn't. To me, as a player, if that's what it takes, it's like a better storyline than it is like, oh, that got us going. Like what got you going was they got some good at bats from Spezio, and then of course we know that Nen's arm was hanging by a thread.
Yeah, it was toast.
I think if his
he gave
arm
up
was
his
good,
career,
you guys win the series. But was that a huge deal? Was that talked about among you guys?
So I will never forget this as long as I live. That meeting we came out, and so, and I love Russ Ortiz. He's a great teammate. He's a great guy, and he was dealing that game.
Yep.
And so when Dusty came out to the mound, we all got there, and it was David Bell and Rich Real and Jeff Kent, myself, and Benito. And it when you go to the mound, it's always interesting to hear what the manager, maybe what his first question is to the pitcher. So, and this is spot on word for word. Dusty came out and said, Hey boys, Russ, how do you feel? And Russ said, I feel okay. And so we're like, okay, like we're looking around, like if that's me, I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. Like get off the mound. And he goes, and then the next question that Dusty asked Russ was, he's like, I got Felix Rodriguez. He goes, I got Felix warm in the pen. And Russ said, all right. And we're like, okay, now like 0 for 2, 0 for 2. The manager's giving you, and I'll never forget. This is the last line. Dusty goes, I think I'm going to bring Felix in. And Russ said, okay, and handed him the ball. And we were like, and I looked at David Bell and I looked at Richie and Jeff and Benito. And we're like, Wow. And so he gave Dusty the ball and then he started to walk off. And then Dusty said, no, here, keep this. This is going to be a souvenir someday. And then Felix came in, threw 11 fastballs and rode a Spezio, hit a 3-run jack. And then the game's tied or whatever. Because I was out in the field and I'm like, okay, that didn't go like as I thought, or as like, I'd be like, I mean, Russ had like a 3-hitter or 4-hitter, like gave up 1 run or shutout. And then Spezio hits a home run. And I was out there in the field and I was like, God damn, we're going to be the first team in San Francisco to win a World Series. And then I feel like just throw him a slide or something. Cause Spezio kept fouling him back. It was like 11 pitch at bat.
Yeah, it was.
Hits it out. I think it tied the game and then the next inning, Erstad hit a home run.
Yep.
And then I'm like, oh God. And then it kind of unraveled. And,
I think the big hit to put him ahead was Glass doubled.
Yeah.
To left center.
He doubled. Yep. And then, and the funny thing about this, not many people know, like the game ended and, I was never one to like hang around like the game ended. I'm up in the clubhouse. So I'm walking up with Barry and the clubhouse kids in Anaheim had moved all the furniture out of the way and put the tarp over all the lockers. And they had the things of champagne in the middle of the clubhouse because we were up by 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I walked up there. I might've been the first one up in the clubhouse because I was like kind of disgusted. I'm like, oh my God, what just happened? And the kids are scrambling. They're rolling up the tarp. They're moving the furniture back. They're getting the champagne out of the room. And then it was like, what just happened? And so I remember I was in the shower. Barry and I were in the shower. I was sitting there. We're like, we got him tomorrow. We'll get him tomorrow. And game 7 goes on, and we all wanted Kurt Reeder to start that game because Woody's like the luckiest human in the world. But the front office went with Levon, and then we lost that game to John Lackey, who was a rookie.
Yep.
And then it's funny, you know how sports, it just happens like that. It happens so quick, and like, wow, we're done. We lost.
I remember, wasn't it? Didn't Garrett Anderson have a 3-run double, like in the second or third inning?
Yeah,
and that was like the game.
Yep,
that was the game. I think we all wanted Reeder to start. We all kind of wanted Woody to start.
And I think Woody was on maybe 3 days rest. We're like,
Yeah.
who cares? He throws 87, 88, and he's
Yeah.
going to sink it. So, yeah, everybody in the clubhouse was like, we got to have Woody start tomorrow. We will win if Woody starts.
Yeah.
But the front office decided to go with Levon because he'd pitched some big games with the Marlins, and it didn't work out. And
should have had Eric Gregg behind home plate.
right.
Ha!
But going back to what we talked about earlier about like, you're happy with like if you get good game or you lose, like game 7, I went 3 for 4, and I was like, come on guys, I'm doing my part. Let's go.
Yeah,
let's
at that
go.
point you don't care.
And, yeah,
It's
and then
I
I'm
don't
like,
give a
oh,
shit.
I
Did we win? Did we lose?
hit
Like,
400 in the World Series. I'm like, oh, all for naught.
Yep.
I go, all anyone remembers me is saving Dusty's kid at home plate and like game, whatever, like picking him up. And I'm like, wait, I hit 407. I got to hit in all 7 games. It's only been done like
nobody cares.
20-some. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody
Keep
cares.
moving. So go back to Russ Ortiz. Would you rather have a pitcher who is honest? Like, I think he was trying to be honest without being honest. Or would you rather have a pitcher who's lying and just saying, I'm fucking good. Get off my fucking mound, where you know he doesn't have his best stuff. And you're thinking, do we want to trust him without his best stuff? But he has the attitude. That might be enough to get us out of this inning. Then we're good to go. How? Because you're the first baseman. You don't really, I mean, you're looking at it from a different perspective than the manager and the pitcher. Do you want your pitcher to be honest, or do you want your pitcher to be like, get the fuck out of here? I got like to have the balls just to say, get out of here. I got this, even though he doesn't have it.
Position players and hitters are different than pitchers.
Yeah.
And I think you want, because I think that was the first visit. So he had one more visit. So I always say in sports, you got to stay aggressive. You got to keep, and you don't want to crack. And so for me, I want him to go, I got this.
Yep.
You know, get the hell off the mound.
Okay.
And then if you give up a hit to the next guy, the manager's going to come out and take you out anyways, because he already got a guy loose. But at least give that persona, like, even if you're inside and we all know, we've all played and we know we're struggling or we know we're not, but just like,
yeah,
I'm good. I'm going to get this next guy. Yeah. We're going to win this. If it doesn't work out, the guy gets a hit, whatever. In base, the manager still had one visit. He can come out after the next batter, take you out. But I always tell players, kids, whatever, I'm like, never lose your aggressiveness. Just always stay aggressive. Even if it's a front, even just portray aggressiveness until the coach has to take you out.
Yeah. So what do you remember about Barry's home run into the tunnel down in Anaheim Stadium? I was there for that one, and I'd seen a lot of big home runs. Reggie Jackson was there when I first started going to games. That thing,
yeah,
his sounded so much different than everybody else's. Like, his was almost like Ohtani's sound. There's like usually 2 or 3 guys in the game of baseball at the time. When it comes off the bat, it just sounds different.
Yeah.
Like, Ohtani's got this click sound where it's like, oh God, that was like just Barry had that, where it's just like a cannon.
Yeah.
And I remember him hitting that ball and thinking, holy God, that thing was just nuked. When you played this sport, so you've seen big home runs, but I mean, what was it like being around him? And what was that home run like? Because I remember Tim Salmon had that shot thinking, what did he say? Oh my God, that's the furthest
ball I've ever seen hit. Yeah. And no one saw it come down. We don't know where it went.
I think it went in that tunnel.
It might have went in the tunnel. It might have went out
like rolling down there somewhere.
Out the stadium.
It hit some dude ordering a pretzel.
Yeah. You know a guy when they're hitting, like, especially in batting practice, it's a different sound off the bat. It's a different, like you said, it's a different click. It's a different sound. And there's only a few guys that have that. So, yeah, I was lucky enough to play with Barry for 9 years. And I didn't realize this until I think this is a few years ago, a reporter came out to me and said, "Do you know you played longer with Barry than anybody in his career?"
Really?
Yeah, amazing, right?
Wow.
Because I played 9 years with him,
Okay.
and guys come and go, but I was like, I didn't know that, and I'm like, yeah, um, and um, he's amazing. He taught me so much, and I think players at the top of the game, the great players can also learn from guys that aren't so great. Maybe, and I remember talking to Barry a lot about different things, and um, when you're at the top of the game, and sometimes when you start maybe going to a slump, or maybe probably seen in basketball, guys kind of gravitate to the normal guy. Hey, what do you think? Because we have a different perspective or mindset on stuff, and like, just don't try so hard. Just
Yeah.
be yourself. I think that really comes out in postseason play in any sport. The guys that play the game maybe under the radar the whole year, that just play the game, and then you get in the big postseason, the big spots, and you just play your game, and then people notice because you're calm, you produce. The guys, it's hard to be the main guy, like, because everyone's expecting. And I remember in 2000, we lost to the Mets in the playoffs, and on the plane ride home, I was sitting there having a couple beers. Barry came up and sat with me. We talked for 2 hours on the plane ride home, and always had good, like, postseason numbers, because I didn't try so hard. I just played my game. And he actually asked me, he's what do you do in the postseason? What do you feel? What do you? And I told him, I go, just play the game. And because he'd struggled, and his
numbers in Pittsburgh were not good.
Yeah, until 2002, his postseason
Yeah.
numbers were not good. But he opened up to me and told me, like, I can't sleep at night. I pace in my hotel room. I know everyone's watching me. I know everyone's looking at me. I know I'm going to be on the news tomorrow if I don't come through. And so it's kind of cool when a guy like that comes to you and just asks for a little. And I'm like, just play, like, just, but those guys are, and we've all played with them,
It's different for them.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
You played against Jordan and LeBron, those guys, and I played against Barry and Griffey and all the guys that are at the top of the game. And it's a little different for them.
Because of scrutiny, right? Everybody
it
expects them to perform like every single day.
Exactly.
When you don't, it's like, what happened?
Yep.
And they think it's a lot easier.
And that's like the funny thing in baseball, like in the World Series, like, oh, the MVP of the World Series is like some guy that's just the normal dude because he just plays his game.
Yeah.
And he just performs and makes plays, where the spotlight is on all those other guys. And if you don't perform, you get buried by the media or the press. If you do perform, it's great, but it's hard. And most people don't realize how hard that is, because you always want to play your best in the biggest moments.
Nobody realizes how hard pro sports are.
Right.
And I don't expect them to. You just don't. I mean, you don't get it unless you played it. I was looking up OPS plus just for hitters because I was looking up what Aaron Judge has done the last few years, kind of compared to Ohtani. And then I went back and looked at Trout, like Trout's best 3 years. And Judge, the last 3 years, I mean, I wouldn't say blows it away, but it's significantly better than Trout's best 3 years and Ohtani's best 3 years as a hitter. And then just for fun, I went back and looked at Barry's OPS plus. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
Blows them all away, right?
And look, this is like pre-juice. And like, I don't even care about that anymore because they put Bud Selig in the goddamn Hall of Fame.
Right.
And he presided over it. So whatever. But you look at Barry, like, I didn't realize, I knew Barry was great. And I just said, okay, let me look before 2000, before allegedly he was taking juice. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Like OPS plus, OPS over 1,000. I mean, the stolen bases, how good he was in the outfield. Not a great arm, but great jumps, great reads, all that stuff. Like, it's unfortunate. And I'd love to ask him this. I don't know if he'd ever even copped to taking this stuff, but like, I think people forget how good he was because of what he did post 2000 when he just became like, he was great. He became Zeus at that point. It was like absurd. But people forget how good he was, like when he was with the Pirates and early Giants. Like he was still one of the greatest players of all time.
Right.
And I would imagine you'd attest to a lot of it is his mind as well, like how he kind of thinks the game. Because great players all have the natural ability, they have great work ethic, but they also think it too.
Yeah, they have great skill, right? The old story, like you're born with it, do you learn it? Like he was obviously born with some great skill, and then it just develops, and then and you know how it is. You play with great players, and there's a maybe like a confidence or cockiness about them that when the situation gets big, they're going to come through. We talked about earlier the postseason, a different story, but I remember one incident with Barry. I'll never forget this. We're in Atlanta. They bring a relief pitcher in. He's up second that inning, and it's a lefty, and the guy's bouncing his curveball, his 8 warm-up pitches. And so Barry looks at me and goes, do you really think he's going to throw me that curveball when I'm up? He can't even throw it when no one's up there. And I was like, probably not. Like, and so he goes, there's no chance in hell he throws me a curveball. So Barry goes up there, first pitch, the guy throws him a curveball, bounces it.
Yep.
Next pitch, fastball, home run, puts us in the lead. Comes around the bases, comes in the dugout, high five, and he goes, what'd I tell you? I'm like, you're right. Like, but it's little things like that. Like and that we used to do that, like just watch the game and be aware of what's going on. And I'm just your senses and if you have the skill and the, you're born with it, you learn it, and then you have confidence in it. And it got really sad because we'd be late in a game and Barry'd be able to like, it's like literally like he's got to hit a home run to win the game, and he would do it. And we're like, okay, there we go, bussing 45. Let's get out of here. But just an amazing mind, and he really helped me out late in my career. We were talking about hitting one day, and I made some. You're always adjusting in your career, right? You got to make adjustments. You got to, especially late in your career. And so he told me this one thing that stuck out, and he's like, when somebody bunts, what do? You move up in the box, right? Because it makes the foul lines get bigger, right? Because if you're in the back of the box, a foul line, if you move up in the box, you're taught that when you bunt, move up in the box, foul lines. He goes, why wouldn't you do that when you're hitting? He goes, you stand in the back of the box. He goes, move up in the box, move on the plate, and challenge a guy to throw you inside and look for the ball inside. So I did that later in my career one year, and then I just took off because now he goes, his theory was now the balls you're hooking foul are going to be fair. And if you think about baseball and if you look at the outfield, where are the hits? You start right field, down the right field line. If you hit the right fielder, it's an out. You got right center field, you got to hit a perfect line drive, and you got left center and left field line. So he's like, there's 4 spots and maybe a line drive up middle. So 5 spots. So if you move up in the box, the foul lines go like that. And now the ball you hook foul, now is going to stay fair. The ball you hit at maybe the center fielder now is in the gap. And I did that the last couple years of my career, and it worked. And I started choking up on the bat because his whole theory was control the barrel of the bat. Now we have those torpedo bats where they're, but just,
if you move
just
up
smart.
in the box, doesn't that turn a 91 mile an hour fastball into a 93 mile an hour
It does.
fastball?
But he was saying, like, if you get up in the box, you got to be ready to go. Like you gotta be ready. Like, but it's amazing if you do that, how your mind, like, I'm ready to go. And how, if you're ready, you'll attack it and you'll be on time, because hitting's all about being on time. And he's like, if you do it, like, you know what, stick your nose in there, get in the fire, be ready to go. And his whole theory was, what in hitting is, if I got to move this way, it's a ball, or if I got to lean out that way, it's a ball. So he wanted to stand upright and just control the zone, in, middle, away. But so
you play with a lot of players throughout the course of your career. Where does Jeff Kent rank on the red ass scale? Number 1?
he's up there. He's 1 or 1A. But you know what? I tell people all the time, I love Jeff.
Oh, so do I.
Jeff grew up in Huntington Beach.
Yep.
Went to Edison High School. Yep. I played
And
against.
now he's a cowboy.
And now he's a cowboy. And I got a good story about that. So I played against Jeff in high school. Then he went to Cal. I played against him at Arizona. Yep. I played against him in the minor leagues. And then we ended up playing with the Giants together. And the one thing about Jeff was when it was 7:00 and the game started, he was ready to go.
And you wanted him on your team.
He loved to hunt. He loves dirt bikes. He would show up 10, 15 minutes for a stretch.
Yeah, we know he loves dirt bikes.
Ride his bike to the field. But he was a gamer, and I remember talking to him one day. He's like, "Yeah, I didn't really know if I like baseball. I just play because I'm good at it and like make a living at it." But he guy's a player. And then I said, "Why do you live in Texas now?" What? So when he was at Cal, they played at Texas at UT in a regional. And he said, "You know what? The people were so nice there. Like their handshake was as good as their word. There's tons of land." He goes, "If I ever make it big one day in baseball, make enough money," he goes, "I'm going to buy a ranch in Texas and move out here and have some space." So it's perfect for him. I texted him last year. His kid was playing at, I think, Texas A&M.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
His name, Colt. I think Colt was a little second baseman, left-handed hitter. And so I text Jeff, and I'm like, "I'm watching your kid play. It looks good. Sweet." And he texts me right back. He's like, "Thanks, thanks for the shout out." Like, and in Jeff Fash, like, "Yeah, he can play a little bit." I'm like, "No, he's good." Like, so I would take Jeff Kent any day on my team, in my foxhole. You know how it is. Like, just when the game starts, I want guys to play hard. I want
absolutely
good dudes.
What do you remember about him? And I think it was in San Diego, him and Barry scuffled?
Yeah.
San Diego. What do you remember about that scuffle?
So it was David Bell. It was a play on defense. I think it was first and second or bases loaded, 2 outs. And there was kind of a chopper that was hit to third, but towards second base. And David Bell came in, and David Bell is one of my favorite teammates of all time. Yeah. He's grew up in a big league household, right? His dad, his grandpa managed the Reds. Dave's one of my favorite teammates of all time. So he fielded the ball and he looked to second because the ball was kind of taking him there. And Jeff wasn't covering second. So then David had to double clutch and throw to first. And I think the runner was safe. The run scored.
Oh, okay.
We got the next out, but we're down by a run. And so then we come in the dugout, and I think Jeff was leading off, or Dave was leading. And so David walks up to Jeff and goes, "Hey, Jeff, why were you in second?" And Jeff said, that play goes to first. He goes, "No, the ball took me that way. Like you got to be." And so they were scuffling. And then one of them, I think either Jeff or David said, "F you," whatever. And then that's when Barry pinned Jeff. And then we were so dysfunctional back then, good thing that. And so I think Jeff led off and he hits a home run, circles the bases, and then him and David are high-fiving. And we're like, "What the hell's going on? Like, this is so dysfunctional," but nobody cared. We just played ball. It was that was a story about that. But I think because someone said "F you," and then I think Barry leaned down the duck. I think Jeff kept chirping at David, and Barry looked down and goes, "Hey, Jeff, shut the F up." And then Jeff was like, "Hey, F you, Barry." And then I think Barry pinned him. And then we don't even have our leadoff batter's not even up in the batter's box. And the ump's like, "Hey, we need a hitter." And then I think it was Jeff hitting. He goes and hits a home run, circles the bases. And we're like, "Oh my God, this stuff, it can't even be written." This is it
was so funny because I always got the feeling that although I don't think Barry and Jeff were doing dinners together,
no,
they were probably a lot more alike than people thought.
You're absolutely right. Barry had his recliner in the clubhouse. Yep. And then the next year after Jeff won the MVP, Barry had a nice leather. Jeff went and bought a green corduroy from Lazy Boy, and he put it in the.
No, he did.
He did, and he put it in the laundry room. So after batting practice, Jeff would go sit in his green corduroy in the laundry room, and Barry was in his nice leather out. And so You're exactly right. They're, you know, when people are more alike than you
Yeah.
think they're different, but and it was just, but you know, it just kind of fueled us all. We sat back and watched it. It was all good
It
stuff.
was funny because I think Ralph and I did a show with you for a year, did we not? Maybe even 2. We did it
Yeah,
with
it might have
Jeff.
been
We
like,
did
yeah.
it for Jeff for a year. And one of the things I remember about Jeff was when Barry hit, I don't know, it's his 600th home run or 660th, whatever it was. They had a big celebration at the ballpark for it. And we asked Jeff about it, and he was complaining. He goes, "Hey, these guys take 10 minutes to do this. I'm up next. I'm trying to get my at bat, and I got to wait for, fireworks and Barry, and there's Willie. And it's like,
Yeah.
hey, are we going to freaking hurry up? We're going to play a game here. We're going to celebrate all night."
Right.
I'm like, it is a milestone. You might want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But he didn't have time for any of that. Like, he didn't get caught into the Barry kind of like superstardom stuff. Like, Jeff just wanted to do it and get it over with, and like he didn't really give a shit one way or the other. Like, just kind of move out the way.
Just play baseball. Just wanted to play baseball. Wasn't into all the I think when Jeff won the MVP, I think in 2000 or 2001, I think that was a pretty well-deserved honor because
So I thought so too. Like, everybody knew Barry's a better player.
Right,
but I thought Jeff had all the big hits that year. And look, you could say, and I remember I actually got a call from one of Barry's guys say, because that's the year we had Barry on, and he wasn't real happy with me for saying that I thought Jeff deserved the MVP. And I said, look, everybody knows you're the better player. Right. And a lot of what Jeff's able to do is because Barry bats behind him. I go, we all get that.
So, yeah, he's getting pitches.
But he still had to do it.
Right.
I go, and he still hit like, whenever you guys needed a big hit that year, he got it.
Yeah.
Like, he just came up with clutch hit, big home run, big play. And I go, I thought he deserved the MVP. I go, it doesn't mean he's the best player. I go, I just thought he deserved the MVP because I look at it a little bit differently. But it's interesting that you thought he deserved the MVP that year?
I do. Yep. He was the most valuable to our team because he hit in front of Barry or behind, whatever, in front or behind. Barry's always on base. They walked him. But it's the most valuable, and he was the most valuable to our team that year. And he 2 strikes or whatever. He hit a line drive to right field, drive in. I mean, he drove in 100 and something runs every year for us. And it was funny because I was talking to Barry one time. He's like, and this is classic Barry's like, you know how many guys' careers I've made? Like, and that's just Barry. You take it with a grain of salt. And then one year in 2003, I come to the clubhouse one day. I'm hitting like, Felipe was our manager. I'm hitting like 240, struggling. I come in, I'm hitting third one day in front of Barry. And I saw Felipe in batting practice. Like, I moved you up because you're not getting any pitches to hit. And I was kind of a patient hitter. And if in baseball, if you don't have protection behind you, then teams are just going to throw you slop or, and I always had a good eye, took some walks, but so anyways, I come hitting third and I just took off. I went from like 240 and that year I had hit 320 something for the year. And, classic Barry came up and he's like, "You're welcome." I'm like, what? He's like, "Yeah, you're hitting in front of me. You're going to get strike." But he was right because when you have protection, if you have a good hitter, it's always good to have a guy behind you. You see strikes, you're gonna swing, put the ball in play. But that's just, and I knew Barry a long time. We had the same agent. I saw him at off field, off season stuff, and I knew how to take him. But he was right. It's like, you're welcome. Like, thanks. Like, it's great. But it's just stuff that nobody hears. But
when we had Barry on that year, we asked him the first episode of the show. He's doing it once a week, like you did. We asked him why he's doing it because you didn't expect Barry Bonds to do a weekly radio show. In typical Barry, he said, "What's my way of giving back?"
Right.
Really, just giving back yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. But you know what the funny thing about him was? Like, sure, he could be surly and all that stuff, but when he wanted to, he was really engaging. He was really charming. He was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
He had some really insightful baseball
stories.
And it depends on when you caught him. Like, some weeks he wasn't into it, but for the most part, I found him really engaging that year. And again, really funny stories, really bright. It's just it kind of depended on when you caught him.
Yeah, and those guys, you got to bring it out of them, right?
Yeah.
You got to get it out of them, and it's not like you're kissing their butt, but you're just being honest with them. And I think those people, if they like you and they know you're solid, and you just ask them good questions, because it's always you probably dealt with this, and it's fun to talk to the top players and like what's your mindset, what are you thinking, and if you can get it out of them, if it can help us out a little bit, it goes a long way. And it's pretty cool to play with guys that are at the top of the game and watch them day in and day out, and like how they operate and what their mindset. The game is, as you know, Tom, it's so mental, and it's such a grind.
Yeah.
But then when it's time to perform, like the guys that can perform, it's like, it's pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah. Were you still, I think you were still there at the time when Jeff fell off his his truck. I mean, may have had a motorbike. You were there for that? Give me your thoughts on that. Cause I still to this day, and I asked him on the show. Of course, this was right after it happened. I asked him 10 years later. He still contends he fell off his truck. I was like, Jeff, nobody fucking falls off their truck washing their truck, okay, and breaks it. Nobody. I go, the fact that you like motorbikes, I go, just say it.
Right.
He goes, no, fell off my truck. Have you ever heard him say otherwise? That wasn't exactly what happened, that he fell off washing his truck, which was the most lame excuse ever.
I've never heard him otherwise, but the funny story is the next day I was in the training room doing something in the morning, getting ready. And that's when he came in with his hand or wrist or whatever. And I was there with Stan Conti and our other trainers. And he's like, you need to look at my finger or whatever, my wrist. And so they took him. And so you start putting like 2 and 2 together. And then, Jeff rode a motorcycle to the field every day. He had a street bike. He loved motorcycles. He loved dirt bikes. He loved street bikes. He could do wheelies. He grew up like that. I think his dad was a police officer in Huntington Beach, so he grew up around bikes. And then the story came out, and then somebody in Scottsdale called into a show. It's like, I saw Jeff Kent doing wheelies down Scottsdale Boulevard or whatever or something, and then he fell off, and then the clubhouse kids came and got the truck and put the bike in the truck, and then they were covering up. It would be a good documentary nowadays. So the truth always comes out, but and you know what, it's all good. Like we knew Jeff liked to, he would ride his bike to the field at Pac Bell and like show up in his leather jacket and his helmet, and just I don't know.
The fact that he's been able to keep it under wraps for this long, it's pretty amazing. Because at some point you would think, of course I didn't fall off.
Yeah.
But he still will not. Nope. That should be my goal. My goal should be to get Jeff Kent on the show and go, God damn it, just say you fell off a motorbike, okay? You're popping wheelies and you fell off the bike and busted your wrist.
Yeah, that's what
statute of limitations is over.
Right, exactly. That's what the eyewitnesses said, and then.
Oh my gosh! All right, let's get to this iteration of the Giants. Last night, losing extra innings 3-2 to the Padres. The night before, lost in extra innings. I feel like I've been transported back to 2024 watching the Giants where they don't score.
Yeah.
Or 2023 watching the Giants where they don't score. It feels like it's been an issue for a number of years now. This year it stands out even more because the pitching is so good. I mean, their pitching has been incredible this year. And if they could hit a lick, they actually might be in first in the NL West.
Right.
Oh, I mean, what's your take on it? Because I just watched this team and it's rough. It's a rough watch. Yeah. It really is. I mean, what are your thoughts? What can they do? I know Buster made some moves earlier today. I don't think they're going to really move the needle, but Bryce Eldridge, maybe he's in play down the road somewhere. But I mean, just what are your initial thoughts of what's going on with the offense, and is there anything that can be done?
Yeah, so I went to spring training this year when Buster got the job. I reached out to him and said, hey, congrats on the job. He's like, do you want to come to spring? So I went down there. He brought a bunch of guys back, and it was
saying Farhan didn't invite you.
Did not. The Farhan and Gabe didn't want anybody around. They wanted to do it their way, like the analytics way, which I'm not sure is the best way to do it. But anyways, we go down there.
Obviously, for them, it wasn't.
Right, exactly. And credit to Buster, like he invited us back. We hung out with the guys for a week. I was down there with Jeffrey Leonard, Sanel Casillo is down there with working with Duvall. So it was fun, and there was a vibe you could tell it was different. And I got a chance to spend some time with Bob Melvin, talk to him, and the game's coming back around to more of, I don't want to say like old school, new, whatever, new.
It's a mix. It's a little bit more of a mix.
Yeah. Now. So I think, and I've talked to people. So here's my take. Like there's an old way, there's a new way, and there's a right way, right? In any sport, there's a right way to play the game. They came out of spring training, and I just think that at this ballpark, they talked about pitching and defense, which is great, but you got to have some guys that can hit, drive in runs. And I think they got off to a great start. Everything was good. The last road trip and maybe 2 weeks have been painful to watch. I think that we're seeing like this generation of players now. They came up with the analytics, right?
Yep.
Exit velocity, launch angle. Oh, a strikeout's okay. A fly ball's okay. Like when I came up, no, that wasn't okay. You got to put the ball in play, and just the ability for players in the situation to come through, hit a fly ball to a guy in third, keep the ball off the ground. And I don't know if it's the player's fault. I think it's just the way they've been groomed. And when we came up, you had to like move the ball around, infield's back, hit a ground ball. We knew how to hit a fly ball, bunt the guy over. That's great. The ghost runner, whatever.
Yep.
I just think it's the situation that's called for. Guys and nowadays are struggling to have the at bat that they need to. The pitching's been great. I mean, you have to pitch in this ballpark, but you got to hit. And Brian Sabian always said, give us 4 runs, we're going to win. Because other teams don't like to come in this ballpark and play. It's cold, it's windy, you're wearing sleeves in the summertime. If we can just squeak out 4 runs but I also think that some of the players, the Adames signing was a ton of money, and I don't think he's produced yet. Chapman, ton of money. He's streaky. Amazing third baseman.
Yeah.
But the situational hitting at the beginning there was good. And in spring training when I was there, Pat Burrell was working with the guys, and they were doing it in batting practice. And I think it's a great thing to do, because when you go to the plate as a hitter, very seldom are you just going up there you always have a plan.
Yeah.
Even if there's nobody on, what do I want to do? I want to hit a hard line, maybe a gap. I want to hit. Okay, I come up with a guy on second base. Nobody, I got to pull the ball to the right side. Guy's on third, infield's back. I'm going to hit a ground ball. Infield's in. I got to hit a fly ball. You got to know how to control the barrel. And I think the last few weeks it hasn't been happening.
Now, do you think going forward, because they have, I mean, you got to love where the pitching's at right now, right?
Yes.
I mean, Ray's been fantastic. Webb's just been a stud for years now. I like where Harrison's at, and we'll see once he gets fully stretched out how he looks. Birdsong has looked really good. Roop has been good. Like, their pitching is solid. Do you just hope the hitting comes around? Make sure you keep the pitching? Do you think about dipping into the pitching and making a move at some point to try to get another bat in the lineup? Because I agree with you. Like, Chapman is what he is. He's probably going to have an OPS between 740 and 780, right?
Yeah.
He's going to get hot for 3 weeks. He'll be cold for 3 weeks. He strikes out a lot. Adames, I'm not worried about yet. It's 2.5 months into a 7-year signing, but that definitely hurts the offense.
Sure.
Because you got Lee and you got Ramos, and that's about all you have right now. Wade, they just DFA'd today, so he'll be gone. And the rest of the guys hop, and it wasn't like they were huge difference makers anyway. I don't know that the offense is this bad. I don't think it's a great offense, but it's better than it has been. But I still think it could use one more guy.
Yeah.
Because that seems like what they've been missing. Because Farhan always wanted to work the edges instead of working the middle. It's like, and I always used to have the saying, I like sprinkles on your ice cream isn't bad, but you got to have ice cream. It can't be all sprinkles.
Right.
And Farhan wants all sprinkles. Where do they go? They just got to hope the offense gets better on its own and stick with that pitching, because it seems like a shame to waste such a good pitching staff right now.
So I think in baseball, you can never have enough pitching.
Yeah.
And especially young guys.
Dodgers are proving that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can never have enough pitching. The game starts on the mound with the balls in the pitcher's hand. I think like this team has been, we got teased at the beginning of the year because they were coming through.
Yeah.
Wilmer Flores and these guys were getting big hits, and now it's gone cold. And as a player, you know this too, Tom, like you start struggling, like maybe you try too hard, maybe you retract. And I've always said in sports, never lose your aggressiveness, like always be aggressive, even at the plate, just keep swinging. But I see a lot, and I watch a lot of games, and I see a lot of guys complaining about close pitches. I see guys complaining about strike. You just got to swing, like just keep swinging. You can, as a hitter, you can hit a ball 6-8 inches off the plate, but now we're so consumed with, it's got to be a perfect pitch. It's got to be in the strike zone. You can go off the strike. You can hit a ball away. You can hit a ball in. And I think because the team was doing so good early on in situational hitting, and now they've gone cold. Now everything, what's going on. Can they use another bat? Absolutely. I think they could use another left-handed bat, and that's the whole Bryce Eldridge thing down in AAA. Just got called up today or yesterday at AAA. I worked with him in spring training. He's a good kid. He's young. He's 20 years old, but he's going to be okay. But it's the mindset now. Oh, we don't want to ruin him. We don't want him to fail. We don't sometimes you got to get thrown in the fire.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to see what you got. The bullpen's great. The starting pitching's been great. And the thing in baseball is it's hard. This may happen in football because you play offense and defense. Basketball, you're playing both, right? Baseball, you're playing offense or you're playing pitching and hitters. You just don't want to pit the other guys. And the pitchers know, and they're pitching great. And they're like, God, just give me 3 runs, 4 runs. And the hitters are trying, but I think they can use another bat. And I think it just, they were great in the beginning of the year. I just think in this division too, they got 2 more with the Padres. I think the Braves coming to town for 3. And then I think they go play the Rockies. They're one of the worst teams ever in baseball. And
they're awful.
But then they go to the Dodgers, and you don't want to let it get away from you. You don't want to, this division is going to be tough.
Yeah.
You don't want to get to July and be 8-9 games out. That's a big road. That's a big uphill climb. So I think they need another left-handed bat. It's hard because when we played, guys didn't hit 180, 190, and maybe guys are hitting 220, 230. And you like to look at the back of the baseball card and think that they're going to end up where they're going to end up. But I think to this point, Adames offensively has been kind of a disappointment. Yeah. And you know what? The contract, whatever, that comes with the territory. You're going to sign that comes with it.
Yeah.
But I think you keep your pitching. You might be able to get away with giving one guy away for a bat late, but I don't know. I'm from the mindset you always got to keep pitching. And
does Bryce Eldridge, in your opinion, does he have the it factor? He could be one of those guys?
I think he does. The defense is, we worked with him in spring training. But I also said he's 6'7" over there. So there's not many balls that could hit to first base during a game.
Yeah.
So fielding, but it's picking the ball in the dirt, or it's when you're at first base and you're taking a throw from an infielder, he's a big target. And that could relax infielders. I don't have to make a perfect throw. I'm 6'1", he's 6'7". I used to tell my infielders, I go, just get it close. I'll get it. I got the biggest glove.
Yeah.
But a big target over there is good to have because you can just make a good throw. Just keep it out of the dirt. There's not, like I said earlier, there's not many balls that get hit to first base during a game, ground balls. But if he can hit, and you watch him in batting practice, and he can hit, from left center to right center with power. But I mean, I don't know the way the game is nowadays. It's like, does a guy's confidence get ruined? Does he get like, I got sent back to AAA twice in my career. And when you get sent back, it's demoralizing. You're like, I may never be back, but you go down there and you work your ass off to get back, and you button it up mentally and you keep attacking, and then you get back. And then there's a point where you never have it really figured out. But I remember talking to Rod Carew, who was our hitting coach of the Angels. And I said, Rod, when do you have it figured out? He's like, you never have it figured out. Like, you just put your work in every day off the tee, soft toss, you get in the game. And it's a great thing about baseball is every night's a different pitcher with different stuff. So you got to find a way to beat that pitcher, beat his stuff. And then you show up the next day with a blank slate.
Yeah.
And you go at it again.
God, I love Rod Carew.
Great.
Laid the bat back.
That's it.
Just kind of held it like this, and they just pop.
And he used to use golf gloves for his batting gloves.
Did he really?
Yeah, they were golf gloves.
No way.
Because I asked him one time in spring, I go, why? He goes, oh, the golf gloves, because they were
softer
and they were tighter.
Oh,
and
really?
Softer leather.
Oh, wow.
Get them a size smaller.
Yeah.
Like if you wear a large, put on a medium. They're nice and tight. And I was at Anaheim Stadium the day he got his 3,000th hit.
Were you really?
Yeah. I was there with my uncle because my uncle had season tickets to the Angels. And
oh, wow.
He says, we're going to go to the game day. Crew's going to get 3,000. And we were there. So
I was there the day Reggie at 500.
Oh, yeah.
Off Bud Black. Because it was I think it was 8-0 or 7-0 Royals at the time.
Okay.
And I was like, I wonder if Bud grooved him one. I wonder if he grooved him one because he crushed it.
Those are great memories, right? We never forget those.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Those are like 40...
The best part about it was I went with two of my buddies. One of my buddies went to go get a drink of water, and then Reggie hit his 500.
Nice.
And he heard the crowd go, oh, and he ran back in there.
Angel Stadium back in the day, like the outfield was open. Like
Yep.
my dad used to, you see the orange fields out there.
Yep.
And now they built like the Anaheim Ducks stadium back, but it was like orange fields, orchards out there. It was an open stadium.
It was awesome.
It was great. And the cool thing about the Big A was, you remember this, like the halo when they won, it was lit.
Yeah, exactly.
It was lit. And when they won, it
incredible.
was dark. And like you
Yeah.
could drive by the stadium, and it's kind of like what they do, like what for the Sacramento Kings, right? And they win the laser thing.
Yeah, like the shoot the ray up. The
Yeah.
purple
So
ray,
when the halo's
light
lit,
the light or,
they still do that to this day. When the halo's lit,
the
the
beam.
the
Max said
Angels
the
won.
beam. Yeah, like the beam.
The Angels won.
Yep. That was, you mentioned Bobby Grich. I was a Doug DeCince guy.
Yeah.
Love Doug DeCince. Disco Dan Ford.
Brian Downing.
Yeah, Fred Lynn, Brian Downing, the
Devon
Hulk
White.
with the open stand.
Devon White, Devo,
Yep. And
Dick Schofield,
Frank Tanana Daiquiri, Bobby Witt.
Yep.
Back in the day. I think Nolan was gone
Bob
by
Boone,
then.
who was there with the old
Yep.
catcher's mask, like the black.
The old catcher's mask.
Remember the
it
old
was
like
incredible.
yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Good times.
All right, I want to get to because I know we're kind of running late. I don't want to keep you here all day, but I do appreciate it.
Love it.
What are some of your biggest pet peeves of the game right now? I'll give you one of mine. Every time somebody comes up to bat, you get somebody like looking in their hat for something, or they'll pull a laminated chart out of their back pocket and know where to move. I think my biggest pet peeve is we're asking guys because of the technology. And I'm not saying the technology is bad, because the technology is going to be like, okay, this guy hits it here 52% of the time. Let's be here when we have this type of pitcher. So you move there, and so everybody knows what they're doing. But we're not asking guys to think anymore. And I think they've lost the ability to think because nobody asked them to think. So now they can't even do it.
Right.
They're not reading swings. They're not reading pitches. They're just like, okay, let me go stand over here. And I think the same with the iPads. Instead of watching a pitcher pitch and seeing how he's sequencing pitches and how much depth his pitches have, or whatever, you're just like over there on your iPad without watching this. I think the technology is probably my biggest pet peeve, in that the players and the organizations have used it so much.
Yeah.
We're kind of retarding the ability of the players to even think the game anymore.
I agree with you 100%. That's my thing. Like the pitch comm thing.
The pitch comm. That's another
It's
one.
like,
yep.
The catcher can't just squeeze his legs a little closer and call the pitch. Like no one's going to steal the
Yeah,
pitch.
it's been going on for 100 years.
Right. And then they might be stealing signs from the center field camera. Well, like there should be one camera out there. Like, get the camera away. The card in the back pocket, you're going to stand here reading swings. I think we've limited the players to be able to move and adjust and, like you said, read swings, and we're kind of like pigeonhole them into being robots.
Yep.
And then when something goes wrong, they look at the card, or they look at, and the one thing that I will say is, like, I can't stand when a guy comes back to the dugout and then he gets his nose right in the iPad. And, like, we had an old saying where it's like, watch the game, watch the pitcher, watch what he throws, watch, and on defense, move, watch the swing of the hitter, move defensively. The guy's late, move over it. I'm at first base. I'm going to move one step to my left. I like the pitch clock. I think it's good.
So do I.
I like the pitch clock. I wasn't a big fan of all the shifts, but that became because guys just hit it in a certain area. So, like, oh, we're just going to shift. Now you got to have two infielders on. I think that's good. It opens up a little bit, but the card in the back pocket, it's a game played by human beings and emotions. We're not robots. You can't have a guy stand in a certain spot. I go back to when I played, and I'll never forget this. I was playing in San Diego, and Ron Wotus was our bench coach, and he was trying to get me off the line in the hole. And I said, this guy's late. You know, like, I was disagreeing, and he always wanted me to play more in the hole. And then the guy was late on the swing because our pitcher was throwing 94, 95. And so I finally gave in, and I moved over, and I was a left-handed first baseman. So I tried to protect my right side because my glove's on this side, and I could go to the hole. So I moved over. When you move over, you got to move in so I can get to the base. I can't play way over here deep because I'm not going to get the base in time when the infielder picks up the ball. So I moved over, and the next pitch, the guy hit it right by me down that way. And I came in, I don't know if there was go ahead, and I threw my glove against the dugout, and I was pissed. And I'm like, just don't tell me where to play or what to do. I have a feel for the game. And that's the biggest thing, is I think guys have lost a feel for the game. And
totally agree.
Just watch the game. And it's in all sports. We're not programmed to, you can put someone in a certain position, but it's like, I got earlier in that we were talking about the Atlanta Braves. The pitchers could throw the ball where they wanted, so they adjusted the defense accordingly. So when you hit it, it was an out.
Yeah.
But pitchers don't always throw it where they want, right? They miss a spot. Watch the guy hit. Just watch the game. And Dave Righetti, who's one of my favorite coaches of all time with the Giants, that was his big thing in the dugout. Guys would be in there bullshit and not watch. He's like, watch the game.
Yeah.
And watch the guy come in when you're on defense. And I tell infielders when I work with them, I said, I can teach you how to field a ground ball. I can teach you how to move your feet, I can't teach you how to anticipate or position yourself. That comes from you, like anticipation or moving a step left or right is huge in baseball. Like, you can get to a ball, you can't. I used to, when there's a left-handed hitter up and I'm playing first base, the second baseman could see the sign, and he'd always give me a signal for off speed, because most off speed pitches are pulled. So he would just say, like, my name, or here we go, or hey, six, hey. So then I know mentally when the pitcher's in the windup, the first base coach is always looking at you, but you can take a step late, move over on an off speed pitch, and then boom, you're right there. But nowadays the pitch comm, they're all in the helmet, the hat. They can't really move. They don't know what they're doing. I think players have lost the ability to be creative and to move around, anticipate, and just watch the game and watch what's going on.
Yeah. Where are you on? I'm a fan of frontier justice. I'm a fan of players policing their own games. I'm not a fan of umpires having to do it or rules having to do it. I think it works better when the players do it. And I just hate the fact that, you pitch inside, you hit somebody, you get a warning, whatever it is. And it's like, okay, you can't retaliate. I just think it works better when you let players handle it. And I think players respect it more. I mean, just as long as you're like, if you're going to throw at somebody, keep it below the neck. I think everybody understands that. But I would imagine you agree with me because you came from the same era I did. But we've lost that ability too now that like nobody polices their own game because they don't have to. And I think the game, probably all sports, lose a little something because of that.
Yeah. And I think in baseball now, there's no doubt the pitchers probably on the whole might throw harder than when we play, but we had hard throwers.
Yeah.
But I also think that the pitchers nowadays, I'm not quite sure they know where every pitch is going. So they might go in. We never had guys wearing the face mask thing, guys that get hit in the face. Now, if the other night, guys got hit in the hand like twice and the guy's trying to run. Yep. But also as a hitter, we see a lot of hitters now, the pitch is on the way and their first move is they're like opening up when we used to like see it and then react to it. So they're opening up, getting hit. And I think pitchers are just letting it fly. They're trying to throw as hard as they can. I don't think the control nowadays is as good as years ago. I think guys are just firing. They want to see the radar gun, and guys are getting hit in the hands. And then when you hit a guy, back in the day, nobody hit a guy unless they did something stupid, pimped a home run or bat flip. The guy would get drilled. We're going to get your best player. And then you would always get one retaliation. And then it was, okay,
it's over.
Then it's over.
We'll move on.
We'll take care of it. You protected your best players. Nowadays, one of them sailed up and in, and then it's like a warning. And then I just think if pitchers nowadays could kind of harness it in a little bit, we see a lot of guys getting hit nowadays and a lot of guys up and in or getting on the hands.
Yeah.
They're firing. But
did you ever get hit and you knew it was coming?
Yes, one time, because we were playing in Philadelphia, and I think Barry got drilled by a guy named Wayne Gomes, and I was on deck, and I told the guy, I go, if I take him deep, I go, I'm gonna like pimp it and watch it. And I actually took him deep, and then my next at bat, they threw at me and hit me.
Did they?
And I was like, that's okay. I'll take it.
Home run for a hit, and you get on base again.
I'll take it. Yeah, my on base goes up. So I knew it was coming. But back in the day, it was like, you hit our best player, we're going to hit your best player. So you didn't do it. And real quick, this is a funny story. I was with the Angels, and we were playing the A's back in '95. We're coming down the stretch, and we blew the lead that year. Our pitcher hit Mark McGwire at the Oakland Coliseum. And so McGwire comes down to first, and Tony La Russa comes out to first base. And he looks at me, and this was the intimidation of a manager to a player. And I was a young player back then. And La Russa looks at me and he's like, who's got more to lose here? You guys or us? He was trying to make a point that because the A's were out of it and we were in it, and they could take out one of our best players.
Yeah.
And so I looked at La Russa, and I was like a little punk kid. I'm like, I didn't freaking hit him. Like, I'm playing first base. But that was like La Russa's deal, right? Intimidation.
Yeah.
And like, but he made a point. Like, we drilled. I don't think our pitcher was trying to drill him, but he hit him. And so La Russa was like, we could take your best player out, and then now you guys are screwed because you guys are in a playoff race. But that's just the way it was back in the day. Yeah. So you respected it, and you're like, and so then I go in the dugout, and our manager and coach are like, what did La Russa say to you? I'm like, he said, who's got more to lose here? And they're like, well, that's just like the intimidation factor back in the day. So
I don't know. I could look this up, but I'm not going to, because you'll probably be close to the number. How many times did you get hit in your career?
20 something, maybe. Or
what one hurt the most?
So when my first year with the Giants, in spring training, Randy Johnson got me.
Oh, yeah. 64 times you got hit?
Oh, nice.
Holy cow.
64.
You were off a little bit on that one.
What did I say? 20. I was up by 30. No, I got Randy Johnson hit me in the wrist, and it hit me in the eye. That my first year with the Giants.
So it ricocheted off your wrist,
hit my wrist
into
and
your
caught
eye?
me in the eye. I missed the whole spring training. My first year with the Giants.
Geez.
You can't look it up. It's ugly. My eye was like swollen shut, and like, I'm gonna never play again. And then I came back that year, and that was 97, my first year. So
I mean, look, I don't think most major leaguers because what I quit playing baseball in my sophomore year of high school, and when there's some guys that are throw really hard, you're like kind of nervous stepping in the box.
Sure.
I don't know that you guys are at the major league level because you just expect major league pitchers to be able to put it around the plate,
Right.
But when you're facing a guy like Johnson, is there a little? I don't want to say fear, but God, I hope he doesn't hit me because you're a lefty, right? And he's throwing it out here.
Yeah.
Like he's behind you when he releases the ball. What is that feeling like? Are you like, what? And he's throwing 98 miles an hour, if not faster.
Yeah, it's funny because people ask you, were you ever like, I was never intimidated at the plate because you kind of trust yourself because you've seen pitches your whole life.
Yeah.
I was never, and you respect guys, you know, they're tough at bat. I was never intimidated, but, and you don't, it's kind of like football players never think they're going to get hurt in a game, but then one play they tear their ACL or Achilles. Like you never, you don't think about that. Or like when you play, you never feel like you're going to get hurt during a game, or you're going to go out and play hard. And, but it happens. And then, I just think like we learned at an early age, like how, you know, how to take a pitch. You always turn into the ball, but now guys are opening up.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. At the Giants game, guys are opening up. Lamont Way got hit and then Flores got, but they're opening up so soon. And that's not the way we were taught. We were taught to stay more closed. And then, but yeah, you can't get in the box with any fear or hesitation.
What was the most uncomfortable at bat you ever had, or against what pitcher?
Probably the guy like Randy Johnson, who's you know, throwing. And I tell people nowadays that we had guys back in the day that guys are throwing as hard as these guys. Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling, Pedro Martinez would throw. Roger Clemens. These guys, Billy Wagner, the closer, Rob Nin, Troy Percival.
And Clemens and Pedro were mean too.
They'd throw at your head. They would.
They didn't care.
Yeah, they didn't care. If they hit you, they hit you. But they knew if they did that we're going to hit your best player. And then, but then it was over, and the umps didn't have to say anything. The umps didn't do anything. It's over. You guys had your. But nowadays, like you throw at some guy. Now there's a warning, so the other team can't retaliate.
Yeah.
So
and they can't do it.
But I think you're not. You know the pitcher's trying to get you. He's not trying to hit you.
Yep.
But every now and then it gets away. It might get away. But
all right, let me ask you, because I got to get this story in because it's a great story. I loved it. I know you didn't spend a lot of time in Boston.
Yeah.
But you're there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And you told me a story about Kurt Schilling in the clubhouse watching TV to the rail. Tell that story, because that's an amazing story. It gives you a little insight into Kurt Schilling.
I was in Boston. I went there for half a year. Francona is a U of A guy.
Yep.
I went there my last year to help to tutor like Kevin Youkilis. And I wasn't playing much and I learned a lot. And I was up in the clubhouse, and you're up there during the game, stretching, watching the game. Position players like to go up in the clubhouse and watch what the pitcher's throwing on TV because you can see movement and you can. So I'm up there, and Schilling's up there with a couple of other pitchers, and he's chomping on a ice cream bar or whatever. They'll watch and then they started talking about him, like, "Oh, Kurt!" And then he threw the ice cream bar down. He ran down the runway, and got on the railing so that the camera could pick him up. And we're like, "No way, he just did that." Because they were talking about him, and he wanted to be seen on camera. But that's kind of the guy he was. And that it was like my first homestand or second homestand. I'm like, okay, this guy's a beauty. Like up there crushing ice cream. And they start talking about it. So you run. And in Boston, the clubhouse to the dugout is like from here to your fence. It's not far. You just run down the runway. And so literally in the span of like 5 or 6 seconds, we're like, wait, Schill was just up here eating an ice cream. Now he's down on he's now down on the rail, and the camera goes right to him. They're like, oh, he's a gamer. Is this? I'm like, we're like, he was just up here crushing an ice cream like 20 seconds ago. It's pretty funny. Like there's all kinds of stories like that too. Like,
that is wild.
Yeah, but that's Kurt loved Kurt.
So Kurt loved Kurt.
Kurt loved Kurt.
There's no doubt that Kurt loved Kurt. So what's that? Compare that place to Yankee Stadium, because you played there when you're younger.
Yeah. You're
just about done with your career at this time. You're playing at Fenway. I mean, two historic ballparks, right? What was that like? Kind of being there again, the history of Fenway, everything that's happened at Fenway. What was that like for you?
it's pretty cool. And I look back at my career and I'm like, drafted by the Yankees, then got traded in my hometown, and then
Yep.
played up here in the Bay Area. Like I had no idea about the Giants, and then get to finish in Boston. So I get to play for the Yankees, the Red Sox, hometown.
Yep.
So the Yankee Boston rivalry is a lot like the Dodger Giants. It's way more important to the Red Sox fans.
Yeah.
And it's way more important to the Giants fans when they play the Dodgers.
Yep.
Because I think the Dodgers and the Yankees are kind of up here, and the Giants and Red Sox are kind of a notch below.
Yep.
Maybe because they're bigger cities, maybe because they have more publicity, more glitz and glamour. But the Red Sox, the Yankee fans they're hard. They're like, you better bring it every day. The Red Sox fans are like that as well, but a little more below the Yankees. And it's the same with the Giants and Dodgers. Like but the Giants fans are hard. The Dodger fans are pretty laid back, but it's very parallel. It means way more to the Red Sox and the Giants for those teams to beat the Yankees and Dodgers. But two great sports towns. And just to be back east, and as a kid growing up in Southern California, not know much about it, it's eye-opening, and you learn, and like, wow, this is very important to all these people to be, and you have to be on like every day. Like you got to show up and be on.
Yeah.
Because they'll call you out. And I had a blast in Boston though. I lived about a half mile from the ballpark. I'd walk to Fenway every day.
Oh, that's cool.
And then after the game, I'd walk home and I would stop off a couple of bars, I would have a beer. And
that's cool.
I remember one night I was sitting in a Daisy Buchanan's, this bar in Boston, and having a beer, and this guy next to me, he's like, how about the Sox? And he didn't know who I was. And we're talking about baseball, and he's like, you seem to know a lot about the Red Sox. I'm like, yeah, I follow him. It's great. But the Yankee fans, they never forget. Like they never, and I only played with them for 2 weeks, and I came with their minor league system, but I still run into people that I remember you coming up.
Really?
It's amazing.
Wow.
The same with the Red Sox. And it's, and you know how it is. The sports on the East Coast, it's a little bit different animal. Little different. It's, you got to bring your game every night.
No doubt. What do you remember about Uke? He's one of my favorites.
He's great.
Yeah, he come on the show occasionally. Got his beer over in Los Gatos, I believe. So
he's got a brewery over there.
What do you remember about him?
He was great because I went there when Francona called me after the Giants didn't re-sign me, and he's like, hey, I want to bring you. We got this kid, Euclid. We're going to move from third base to first base. Why don't you come back him up, tutor him? Like, okay. And so they go, we're going to offer you $1 million. And for 1 year, I said, okay, well, you know how it is. After taxes, you move. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make like $200,000. I'm like, not worth it. So then he called me next day. He goes, we'll give you $2 million. I'm like, okay, I'll come. So then, and I hung out with Uke in spring training and backed him up. And then I played a little bit at the beginning of the year. And then our center fielder was Coco Crisp, who played with the A's. Great guy. He broke his finger. And then Francona, in a managerial, he's a wizard. He moves Euclid to lead off. And he has like a 500 on base because he walked. And then he started hitting. And I was happy for him, and like I didn't play much, and but it was all good. I was at the end of my career. I was 38 years old, and but I was happy for Uke, and he was a great kid, and he loved the game, and he could really play and get on base, and it was fun to watch him. And I left the Red Sox that year in 2006, and then 2007 they win a World Series. So I was close a couple times, but not quite close.
No, you're
enough.
really close.
Really close.
Really like three innings away.
3 innings in 1 year.
Close. Yeah, I mean, you're right there. Well, I had you guys at 20-1 to win the World Series. I'd have really liked if you guys would have won. That'd have been fantastic for me. I mean, I would have spent it already. It was 20 years ago. So it would have been gone, but it would have been fun at the time. It was interesting because that was such an interesting era in that the teams were so good and didn't get it done. And then you moved to 10, 12, 14, where the teams are really good, but they were never the favorites. They were never the best in the National League. They just kind of found their way. Yeah. And it was through pitching. Right. Lincecum, Kane, Bumgarner, Sanchez, to whoever else they had back then, and to win their first championship here. How did you feel when they won their first 1-10, having played here? Did you feel like, hey, we were kind of a part of it? We kind of, Saban was the one who started this, and we were part of that. How did that make you feel as an ex-Giant that like they won in 2010?
I was happy for him because I was doing some work with the team. I was with the team traveling, and I actually, like, in spring training that year, I got with Bam Bam Hensley Mullins, the hitting coach. I'm like, hey, can I throw some batting practice? You need a left-handed, because I used to pitch in high school. And
Okay.
so I'm on the backfield, I'm throwing to Posey and all these young guys coming up. And then that year in the World Series, I throw like the straightest left-handed pitch. And so I was actually thrown to the number one group in the World Series, like in Texas. I was thrown to Posey and Burrell and these guys. So I was happy for him. It was fun. Sean Dunson and I were working for the team. We traveled with them. But yeah, you look back, and I was really happy for Brian Saban, that whole crew.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like we didn't win it, but we kind of got things going back again in the right direction, like in 97 and then the 02 and 2000. We won three National League titles in the 9 years I was here. We made the playoffs like 4 times, but would I have loved it? We'd love to win it when we were here. Absolutely. Got the first ring, but I was happy for them. And you kind of, like, when you look back over your career, you kind of feel like, well, maybe we got it started and got the fans re-energized. Because when I first came here at Candlestick, there was not a lot of fans coming to the game.
Yeah.
And it was 96, they were terrible. I think they finished last. They were bad. And then 97, we turned it around, got the fans back into it. And so you all feel kind of part of it. There's probably nothing like winning it. Then they go on and win. But like you said, we get together with old guys. We're like, not that we didn't love our pitchers that we had. We had Woody and Levon and Russ Ortiz and some guys here and there. But I tell you what, we could swing and we could score runs. And 99, we had 5 guys hit over 20 home runs. And
that's right.
Guys, Barry and Jeff and myself and Ellis Burks and Rich Aureli, we all hit over 20 home runs. And, we're a couple years drove in 100 and 98 one year. And I had a chance of driving 100. We're playing the Rockies. We have first and second to last day of the season. Jim Leland's managing the Rockies. He intentionally walks me. We're both out of the playoffs. I told the catcher, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, he's going to walk me? Like, I get a chance of driving 100. And he put me on. And then the next guy hit into a double play. And then I didn't get any RBIs the next day. I ended up in the season with 98. I'm like, I got a chance of driving it would have been my third 100 RBI season. And so, like, I don't have a lot of, like, I don't like Jim Leland a lot. Like, I'm like, come on, you're walking me, like, this is game 161 and you're walking me in the 8th inning we're down like 4-3. I'm like, oh my God. So anyways, if we could add some of that pitching, we would have won a bunch, but it's all good.
I still think if Rob Nem would have been healthy
in 02, he basically gave up his career for.
He really did. What was it like playing with him? Because you were, for those who don't know, at Los Alamitos, JT was the quarterback, Rob was the wide receiver, and Rob was a year younger than you. Yeah. So you guys go on to play a different sport, baseball. Rob's playing for the Marlins, closing for the Marlins, and to get traded over to the Giants. You were the Angels, get traded up here. What's that like? I mean, playing with it's fun. Not somebody you just went to high school with, somebody you played with, somebody you threw passes to when you're in high school. I mean, what's that like playing with him?
It was super cool because a lot of people know this, but Rob Nin's dad played in the big leagues for like 6 years, like with the Washington Senators. Dick Nin, he was a first baseman, and my dad played for the Rams. So they'd come to our high school football and baseball games, and they were the parents at the top of the stands, didn't say a word.
Exactly.
Right, because they had already been there. They rooted for everybody.
The parents that haven't been there, the ones that are chirping all the
time.
They're
behind the dug. Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, our parents like sat up. Our dad sat up. Didn't say a word. Didn't get on the umpires. Rooted for all the kids. And then Rob signed out of high school, and I went to Arizona. And then so Rob was throwing 92, 93 in high school, but he was Nuke LaLoosh, right?
Yeah.
All over the place. He was throwing a no-hitter one day at Blair Field in Long Beach. We're
I
playing
remember
Long
that
Beach,
field. Yep.
Long Beach Wilson. We're up like 2-0. He walks the first two guys, the sixth inning, because in high school the game just and our coach pulled him from the game with a no-hitter. And then I think we won or lost, and then he got traded from the Marlins over here. And yeah, it was fun. We just had a lot of good times to talk about. And we grew up together, went to high school together. And then, yeah, the whole toe tap thing was amazing to talk about. And
yeah, how'd that get started?
His pitching coach with the Marlins, because he was drafted by the Rangers and then he got picked up in the expansion draft, I think in 93 by the Marlins, because each team could only protect 20 guys on the 40-man roster. His pitching coach worked with him on that to trying to keep him to stay back because he would get out in front all the time. So he's like, I want you to separate, touch your toe down, and then throw. And then he started doing it, and then he would toe tap and then throw. Yeah, Rob's a great guy. He still lives in SoCal. And
does he?
Yep, he's down there. And
that slider was amazing.
Amazing.
I mean, just straight down.
One of the best.
Couldn't hit it.
One of the best walk-ups, or he would smoke on the water.
Smoke on the water.
That was it.
That's right.
In fact, I was driving the other day and it came on the radio. I took a picture and I sent it to him.
Did you?
And he's like, "Oh, nothing like the old times." But just a great guy. And he gave up his career that 02 season. He blew out his elbow and shoulder and he was hanging. And if we could have got him there in the game, maybe it's a different story. But he took a blown save harder than anybody I ever played with. Like, and we'd always go in the training room, and the trainers always had I think it was 3 Coors Lights on ice for him. And he would ice his elbow in the bucket with the beers in the bucket.
That's old school.
That's old school, right?
Is old school.
And then you crack
there.
when he blew a save, we had to go in there and pick him up. But he's a competitor. He's a great guy. And yeah, I love Rob to death.
No, that is absolutely old school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if they have beers in the clubhouse anymore.
I don't know if they do.
I don't think the Warriors. Well, I shouldn't. Yeah, they do, because I've had a few of them.
I think they took the
players have any, but the coaches definitely.
They took the chew out. They took the beers out.
The chew is out. That's a good thing. I wish they'd take it out of my house.
But back in the day, we would have like couple beers on ice after the game in our locker.
Yeah,
the clubhouse guy,
absolutely.
Our clubhouse guy Murph, he would vacuum we used to have guys stick around hour and a half after the game. We just have a couple beers, talk about the game. Murph would be vacuuming the clubhouse. Frank Sinatra on. He'd pour himself a little scotch, take his shirt off, vacuum. It's priceless. Like, you can't even imagine that nowadays.
Scotch shirt off,
and it was me and Rich Aurelia and a bunch of other guys. We just sit around, have a couple beers, talk about. And that's
what you did. You talked about the game.
You talked about the game.
You just BS'd about the game.
And you asked the guy, like, if you screwed up or something, like, what did you see? Or like you struck out, like, dude, don't take that fastball first pitch. And like you took criticism. Like, you guys would guys would let you know, and like, hey, next time be more aggressive early in the count. Be, the ground ball, like, get threw it in the dirt, like you dropped your arm, like, and guys took it. You could talk to guys and you could just be there. And then we'd all go home and show up the next day.
No, it was the best. It really was. It was bonding, and you're talking ball.
That's it.
Last thing. So now that we have, full interleague now, it's like about as balanced schedule as you could ever get.
Yeah.
You're playing everybody every year. Just, you're going to play half of those teams at home, half on the road, and then you flip them the next year. And they've lessened the divisional schedule, which I think is good. Here's what I'm saying. 1 MVP, 1 Cy Young, 1 Rookie of the Year. We're doing one award. We do it for basketball. Can you imagine in basketball if we gave an Eastern Conference and Western Conference MVP?
Like that.
Or NHL? We give 1 MVP for every sport. Now that baseball is about as balanced as schedules could possibly be, no more DH, so everybody plays by the same rules. The umpires jump around from National League to American League, so there's no National League, American League umpires. It's one game now. let's just do away with the 2 MVPs and 2 sites. Let's do 1 award for the league. What do you think?
I like that. I never thought of that, but it makes sense. It's kind of, yeah, like in football, everybody's playing everybody.
Yep.
Basketball, baseball, we're all playing. Yeah, maybe baseball should just be one league and you can work it where everybody plays everybody the same amount, 30 teams, like you play. I never thought of that, but I like it.
Because basketball is, you play your division 4 times, your conference maybe 3 times, and then you play the Eastern Conference if you're the Warriors. You play them twice a year, once home, once road. You can't do that in baseball because there's just too many games, but they are playing everybody.
Right.
So it's as close to balanced as it'll ever be in baseball. I don't know that it'll ever happen because agents will get involved and say, hey, we need 2 MVPs because, we want to get the awards. But I just think that's probably the way I would like to see that. I don't know who it would be if it'd be Ohtani or Judge, because those would be your 2 leading. I think if Ohtani doesn't pitch, Judge could have a good chance.
Yeah.
But once Ohtani pitches, it's over at that point.
Right.
He's going to win it every year.
I think they'll fight because the travel schedule in baseball, you're going somewhere for 3 days and then you're going, but no, I like that. I never thought of that. I think that's a good. Can you imagine being like the best player in baseball? Like
the best player and the first player to win that 1 MVP award.
You're the most valuable player in the whole out of 30 teams. You're the best, and 1 pitcher. Let's get Tom Tolbert to be the commissioner of baseball.
Yeah. Well, I can't be any worse than Sealy. I wouldn't call the World Series trophy a hunk of metal.
Right.
Like he did.
Yeah. Hunk of metal.
Can you imagine players thinking like, what are you talking about? That's what we work for. And you're calling it a hunk of metal?
One of the best trophies in sports. And you're calling, I like that. And then maybe the next year, like if you can only play so many teams, and the next year you play the other teams, but I think you could work it. So I've always said in baseball, 162 games, if you go down to 154, you could, they probably won't do this for records, but you could have every Monday off and give everybody in baseball just like a breather. And then you can play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3-game series, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
So you play 3-game series, 3-game series. And then on Monday, just give everybody a breather, let everybody relax from the weekend, and then just go down to 154. That's only 8 games less. But if you look at the schedule, you could give every Monday off through the course of the season.
Yeah.
And just during the season, Mondays are off. You're good. Everybody just take a breather, and everybody plays, because sometimes teams are playing a team in a 4-game series and then they're playing a team in a 3-game series. Yeah. So you got to play maybe a good team in extra series. Every series a 3-game series. You're home for 6, maybe go on the road for 6, back home for 6. And then just give all the fans a day off on Monday.
Yeah.
Let's just chill, do what you want, and then
the fuck am I gonna watch on Monday?
I
got shit going on. You
gotta bet on something.
Yeah, I need somebody on Monday. You kidding me?
Okay, scrap that.
What am I going to my TVG account?
Scrap that.
Bet Aqueduct? I mean, give me some baseball.
Maybe there's some hockey or some
hockey's going to be over pretty soon.
Soccer, I don't know.
WNBA, get some of that. I can bet on the Fever. Fever laying 7.
Guys are always complaining about the schedule and how many games are. I'm like, just knock it down to 154.
I don't mind everybody getting a day off per week, but let's stagger it so we get some baseball Monday.
Okay.
So I can get a little something as we go through the week. Okay. I lied to you. This hopefully will be the last one, but a couple names. Hall of Fame, yes or no, and you can give a short explanation if you want to. Pete Rose.
Well, yes, now because he died. Like he's now going to get in.
No.
So
if it's up to you.
Here's my thing on the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
I think the Hall of Fame is a hallowed thing in any sport, but I think in baseball they've already let guys in that did steroids. We all know there's guys in.
Yep.
And so just let them in. Let all the guys in, because you can't. There's guys that we know, that I know that play, that are in there, and I think it's a shame because And I think they let too many guys in the Hall of Fame now in all sports. I think the
Really?
Hall of Fame should be like, I mean, you got to be top 1 or 2% in your game. But in baseball, and I've been back to Cooperstown. I've been to the Hall of Fame a couple times, and it's an amazing place. But they've already let guys in that cheated. So now you got to let the other guys in. I think that's fair.
So yes to Pete, yes to Barry, yes to Roger. I think still no to A-Rod, just because. Just because he's A-Rod, why not? Just say no to A-Rod.
Really quick, a funny story. When I was in Boston, we were playing. He was with the, and I brought that up, and I think Schilling and the guys were. I go, hey, A-Rod, and they go, we don't call him A-Rod here, we call him Alex. And so, the Red Sox people did not call him A-Rod; they called him Alex.
Really?
Yes.
How?
Just because they're like, no, he's not A-Rod, he's Alex.
He's Alex.
So you had to call him Alex. That's pretty funny, right? Like that was a Red Sox thing, and that was led by Schilling. Like, and I played with some great guys in Wakefield. He was awesome. He passed away a few years ago. Shame. And then, but like Trot Nixon and Veritek catching and Manny Ramirez, and so they're like, no, we don't call him A-Rod here. We call him Alex. So you called him Alex.
Wow.
It was Alex Rodriguez. It wasn't A-Rod.
Were you? God, I'm thinking of these things. I was trying to wrap this thing up, but I just think of something, and I don't know why I thought of this. Were you on the Giants? I don't know if you were or not. Did you play with Brett Maine?
I did.
Okay, so were you there when you guys were playing the Diamondbacks and Buck Showalter walked Barry with the bases loaded?
Yeah, the pitch of Brett.
You guys were down 2-0. And Buck Showalter, bases loaded. I think it was 2 outs.
Yep.
Walks Barry to
so
make it 2-1.
And then Brett
Maine comes up, and I think he lined out.
He lined out to left field or right field.
Left?
Yeah, left or right field.
I mean, what were you thinking when you're in the dugout going?
We never seen it.
We fucking walked a guy with bases. What?
We never seen that before. We're like, what the heck is going on? Like, and so then Brett lined out. He comes back in. He was like, F Bucky. Like. So Brett Maine and I played on the same high school summer league team.
Did you really?
Brett went to Costa Mesa High.
Oh, okay.
So his dad was a longtime coach at Orange Coast College. Mike Maine, he was a legend down there, junior college baseball coach. And Brent's a good dude. Like, we played up here. And one more story before you go.
Yeah.
My first big league start in Kansas City, he was catching.
Was he really?
And yeah, he came up with the Royals. He was a first-round pick. He went to Cal State Fullerton. And so we played high school together. And I'm going to say this anyways on this spot because I don't care. He's catching. So the first pitch the guy threw me, my first start, was a fastball for a strike. So Brent comes out from behind the plate, mask on, walks in front of the plate, throws the ball back to the pitcher, turns around. He has his head down. He goes, same pitch. And I said, oh, he's messing with me. And I'm like, no, he wouldn't do that. So I'm in the box. And then I looked down at him. He looked up at me and he winked. And the guy threw me a fastball and I lined it to left field. The guy caught it, but I hit first base and I came back around to go to the third base dugout. He had his mask up and he looked at me again and he winked. And I'm like, super cool, right? He told me what pitch was coming. And I lined out. Like, I haven't told many people that story.
That's hilarious.
I'll tell you on this podcast. So imagine my first start, my first at bat in the big leagues. And I'm like, I'm going to see a pitch. And the guy throws me a fastball, strike one. And he goes out in front of the plate, throws the ball, but he goes, has his head down, he goes, same pitch. I'm like, is he messing with me?
I wonder how many times that happens.
I don't know, but that's why baseball's a great game.
That's
it's
incredible.
Like, isn't that incredible? Pitch. And then I'm like, the fact that I'm in the box and I looked down at him and he looked at me, he winked, and I'm like, it's got to be a fastball. He threw me another fastball and I lined it to left field.
Do you remember who the pitcher was?
His name was Mark Gardner, but it wasn't the Mark Gardner that pitched with the Giants.
I'm guessing Mark Gardner wouldn't have found that all that funny.
He wouldn't have found it all that funny. Like,
especially if you'd have drilled it over the wall.
Right? Exactly. That's the beauty of like buddies in baseball and stuff.
Oh, man.
That's
hilarious.
That's a cool story.
That is hilarious.
But the fact that like I'm in the box going, is he messing with me? No, he wouldn't do that. No, we play together. Yeah, he might. No, he wouldn't. Yeah, he might. No. It was like a Bull Durham moment. Wait, step out.
It was a Bull Durham
step out.
moment.
And I looked at him.
Exactly.
I knew when he winked at me. And then the fact that when I rounded first after the out, we're in the third base dugout. I was running back in front of the mound. I looked at him and he winked at me again. I was like, that was cool. And then I saw him the next day during batting practice, and he's like, don't say anything. I'm like, I won't. It's our thing's good.
What was the line in Bull Durham when he goes, "Here comes the deuce," and when you speak of me, speak fondly.
Yeah. And then he goes out to the mound,
ball.
and he's like, he acted like he knew that pitch was coming. He's like, he did. I told him.
Well, he scrambled that son of a bitch.
That's the best baseball movie ever. Like,
it's a great baseball movie.
When they turn the sprinklers on to get a rain out. Like,
yep.
We tried that. Like, you get in
Did it work?
No, we couldn't get into the stadium, but I actually played in that stadium.
Where'd you try to do that?
I played in that stadium in Durham.
Okay.
We played the Bulls because I was in the Carolina League.
Yep.
Same stadium, and they had the Bull out there. No, we tried all kinds of stupid stuff. Like, let's get a rain out. We're tired. Let's go find the sprinkler box. We did stupid stuff.
All right, last one. Last one. What's the best prank you ever saw? Either you were a part of or you saw, whether minor league, major league level, whatever it is.
So when I was in the big leagues, when we stayed in hotels back in the day, you used to have a like a card in your room, like for breakfast, and you would check off eggs, whatever,
toast, and
then they would and you check off the time, and they would deliver it. So we would go to the rookies' room and check off like 6 things, like pancakes, eggs, waffles. And so then, and we check off like the
6 a.m.
6 a.m. So then the next day we're stretching behind and then the rookies were over there stretching, and the guy's like, the weirdest thing happened. Like, I got this room service thing at 6 a.m. It was like 6 things, like pancakes, eggs. And the guy's like, oh, that happened to me too. That happened to me too. So, but we would take it from our room and check it off and then put it on their room. And then they would show up at 6 a.m. with like 8 things for your breakfast.
Perfect.
And they would be charged to their room.
Oh,
so they would have to pay.
That hurts.
Yeah. It's like,
dude, those guys ain't making any money.
I know. It's like $100 breakfast. Or the other one was like at dinner, like you go out to dinner with like 12 guys on a team, and then everybody puts their credit card
I did that one
in the basket.
Yep.
And then we tell the server, pick the rookie's card out, because it was the last one they'd pick out. It'd be like, Tom Tolbert, like, oh, the bill's like $2,000, right? You're having steaks and wine. Oh, JT, you're out. And then the rookies are just sweating, and then they would know which, and then they're like, oh, some rookie. And the guy's like, oh crap, I gotta, and then we'd be like, no, you're okay. We're going to pay for it. But
we wouldn't do that to the rookies.
No, we just put all the credit cards.
I got stuck with one.
Did you?
My rookie year with the Warriors. Now, I mean, I wouldn't say great money, but I'm making $300,000 at the time. So it wasn't a huge deal.
Right.
But I'm sitting around the table with guys that are making $8, $1 million, $1.2 million, $1.4 million.
Yeah.
And it was between me and Alton Lister. We were at a Benihana type place. And there was 8 of us. So the bill was like $1,700.
Yeah.
And it was me and Alton. And it wasn't so much that I lost, because they picked Alton's card. So my card was the last one
so
left.
And
it wasn't so much that I had to pay, which was kind of, like bummer, but whatever, I lost. It was how happy he was.
Right.
He was so happy. But I'm like, you fucking make over $1 million. Well, why are you so happy?
Yeah, and I'm gonna get
like
stuck.
he hires a chef to cook meals for him. She came in on Sunday, cooked 7 meals, put them in the fridge. It was good for the week. And I like, you could afford that, and you're this happy that I have
jumping
to pay
up and down, right?
for this meal.
Yeah.
And I'm dying here. This is like $2,000.
There's half my paycheck.
I'm gonna have to go to Vegas again and try to make this back. You're wearing me out, Alton. But yeah, I remember thinking that was the worst.
That's fun back in the day. I don't know if they do that nowadays, but like to see guys sweat and like.
I don't know if I have no idea about this. I could be completely wrong, but I feel like the camaraderie isn't what it maybe used to be when we were playing.
Yeah,
because we used to talk to sport, hang out. You mentioned sitting in the locker room or clubhouse after the game, drinking a beer. We do the same thing.
Yeah,
me, Mully, Jim Peterson, Mitch Reed, whatever. Just
yeah.
Sit back and talk about the game, what happened, what didn't happen. You just Just shit like that.
Yeah.
I think guys come in, get showered, get dressed, they're
Gone.
Maybe go on IG, get their brand going or whatever, talk to the boy, just whatever it is. I just think it's a different world. I know it's a different world, but I think you miss a lot
Totally.
when you're trying to get in and get out.
Yeah.
And not and
just hanging around and talking ball.
Absolutely.
No cell phones back there. You're not worried about someone filming me.
Nobody's looking at their phones. Nobody's seeing who texted them. Nobody's seeing where they're going, what the plans are.
I talked to guys a couple years ago at the Giants. I'm like, what do you guys do on the road? They're like, oh, we don't really go out. They bring in a pool table or ping pong table into the hotel in one of the rooms, and we just go down there.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I'm like, really? Like, you got, like, you're in Philly, you don't go down and get a cheesesteak.
Yeah.
Or you're in New York, you don't go. Like, no, we just hang out in the hotel. Bummer.
It's wild, isn't it?
Gotta live life.
Because I used to think, wow, we go to this town, let's go to this bar.
Totally.
Get like 3 of us, go out and grab some beers, got a good jukebox, let's listen to some
We
music.
throw darts, shoot pool.
Yeah.
Like, you could find, like, we'd go to Milwaukee, we'd go to Detroit, Cincinnati, and we would always ask the players on the other team, hey, where's a good spot to go? Not that we're going out and being idiots. We just want to go.
Yeah,
I don't want to go sit in my hotel room.
Exactly.
We're on East Coast time. Like, hey, go to this place. Pittsburgh. We went to Permane Brothers. They had these big old sandwiches.
Yeah.
Right. You go there, get a sandwich, or and then you go to like a little bar and like throw darts, play pool, play trivia game, whatever. And then, midnight, you go back to your hotel room, go to bed.
That's bonding. That's hanging
bonding
out with the teammates. Absolutely.
Yep. Awesome.
JT, thanks for coming over.
You're welcome. That was fun. That's great
awesome.
Time. Yeah.
No, it was a really good time. Love to do it again sometime. Talk a little Giants baseball. We'll be back at you on Friday. We'll do another show from the backyard. I'm glad to see the bunny stopped. The bunny had these guys jumping today. They were both, Max and Daniel were jumping. They're like, oh God, here comes the bunny. The bunny's coming over. Lift the bunny up. Brett, hold the bunny. Max was holding the bunny, petting the bunny, set the bunny down. Bunny came back over, messed with the wires. Bunny was on fire today.
Bunny was charging.
Oh, Bunny was incredible today. Bunny was like, let's go. All right, we'll be back on Friday. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Really appreciate it. Until Friday, have a good night. See ya.